The question came from behind me, just as Craig switched on the lights over his new display cabinets. "Grandpa, why is Mom hiding your mail?" Lauren stood beside the kitchen counter at 1842 Northwest 34th Place, holding 3 Gainesville Regional Utilities envelopes. My name showed through the little plastic windows. Melissa had one hand inside the open mail drawer. The other was pressed flat against the counter. Craig stopped talking in the middle of a sentence. The garage was full of prospective clients, relatives, and neighbors. I could hear people testing cabinet doors and talking over the air conditioner. Someone had brought a tray of chicken wraps. A bowl of melting ice sat beside the sweet tea. Melissa looked at Lauren and said, "Those aren't hidden." Lauren turned one envelope over. "Then why did you put them under the takeout menus when you saw Grandpa come in?" Nobody answered her. I knew the electric account was still in my name. I knew the transfer deadline ended that day. What I didn't know was why my daughter had been collecting my utility statements, or why Craig looked more frightened than angry. My name is Stanley Ellis, and I'm 71 years old. Before I go on, what city are you listening from? That kitchen drawer was only the latest thing I had failed to question. The first was a much smaller choice I made 4 years earlier. Martha had been gone 3 years by then. She died in 2019 at 60. 1 month she was reminding me not to leave electrical tape in my pants pockets, and the next month I was standing beside Melissa in a funeral home choosing flowers Martha would never have picked for herself. Martha hated lilies. The funeral director kept pointing at arrangements full of them. "She liked daisies," Melissa finally said. The man nodded and wrote it down. Afterward, Melissa held my arm in the parking lot. She wasn't crying anymore. She just stood close while people drove away. "You'll call me if the house gets too quiet, right?" she asked. I told her I would. I didn't. The house was quiet every day, but calling to announce that felt like asking someone to feel sorry for me. I found other reasons to call. A loose ceiling fan at Melissa's house. A garage outlet that sparked when Craig plugged in his compressor. A refrigerator making a clicking sound. Those were problems I understood. I had worked as an electrician most of my adult life. I liked a clean panel, labeled breakers, and wire bent neatly inside a box. If something failed, there was usually a reason. You tested it, found the fault, and fixed it. People were harder. At home, I kept my electrician's pliers on the workbench in the back room. Martha used to complain about that room because every flat surface collected screws, wire nuts, and receipts. "You have drawers," she would say. "You know that, don't you?" I know I have drawers. Then this is a choice. After she died, I started putting things away. Not because I suddenly became organized. I just got tired of hearing the silence after I dropped something on the bench. Melissa came by most Sundays at first. Craig came if there was a football game. Lauren was grown by then and had her own schedule, but she still stopped in when she could. She would sit at the kitchen table and eat whatever I had made too much of. One afternoon, she opened my refrigerator and stared inside. "Grandpa, why do you have 4 jars of mustard? They were on sale. You don't eat mustard. I might start." She laughed and took 3 jars home. That kind of visit mattered more than I admitted. Lauren never needed an excuse. Melissa usually did. In the spring of 2022, Melissa called me while I was replacing the weather, stripping around my back door. "Dad, can I ask you something?" Her voice had that careful tone people use when they already expect you to say yes. "You just did. I'm serious." "All right, what's going on?" She said their expenses had gotten ahead of them. Craig had been between steady jobs. Their insurance had gone up. The air conditioning unit needed work, and a credit card payment was due. "How far behind are you?" I asked. "We're not behind. Not exactly." That meant they were behind. I put down the screwdriver and sat on the back step. "What do you need?" She hesitated. "The electric bill is $240, she said. "If you could cover it this month, we could catch our breath." I could hear Craig talking somewhere near her. She covered the phone, said something to him, then came back. "Just this month," she added. I drove over that afternoon. Their house sat on a quiet street in northwest Gainesville. It was a 1-story place with pale siding, a narrow front porch, and an attached 2-car garage. Craig's truck was parked in the driveway with the hood up. Melissa had the GRU bill waiting on the kitchen table. Craig stood at the sink drinking iced tea. "I told her we'd handle it," he said. Melissa looked down at the bill. "We are handling it. I don't need Stanley thinking I can't provide for my own house." I should have heard the warning in that sentence. At the time, I heard pride. Pride was something I understood. I don't think that, I told him. Everybody gets squeezed. He nodded once, but he didn't thank me. I paid the bill from my checking account. Before I left, Melissa followed me to my car. Dad, we might need another month, she said quietly. How many is another? I don't know yet. We stood beside my car while the afternoon heat came off the pavement. She looked tired. There were dark half circles under her eyes. I asked, Is Craig working? He has some things coming together. What things? He'll tell you when he's ready. That evening, I called GRU and asked what it would take to place the service in my name. I thought I was making life simpler for Melissa. If the account was mine, the payments would come out automatically, and she wouldn't have to call me every month. The woman on the phone explained that I would be solely responsible for the account. She confirmed the service address twice. She also explained that I could end service later, but the household would need a successor account to keep the electricity running. I remember saying, "This is temporary," she said. "That's up to you, sir." I set up the automatic draft. The first payment was $240. I printed the confirmation and put it in a blue utility account folder at my home desk. Martha had bought those folders years earlier. She labeled everything in thick black marker. I wrote Clark House Electric across the tab. At first, it seemed to help. Melissa relaxed. She brought dinner over twice that month. Lauren came with her one Sunday and helped me clean the gutters. Craig started calling about the garage. The first problem was an outlet that got hot when he ran a small table saw. I drove over with my tool bag. He had pushed the cars outside and built a workbench along the back wall. "I'm thinking about making cabinets on the side," he said. "Nothing huge." I pulled the outlet and found a loose connection. The insulation around one wire had started to discolor. "You were lucky," I told him. "I knew you'd figure it out." That sentence felt good. I wish I could tell you it didn't. I replaced the damaged outlet and checked the rest of the garage circuit. Craig watched me work, asking questions about amperage and motor loads. "You ever miss doing this every day?" he asked. "My knees don't." He laughed. "You still know more than anybody I could hire." When I finished, he tried to hand me $40. "Keep it." "Come on, Stanley. You're family." He put the bills back in his wallet. "I'll get you next time." There was always a next time. A month later, he wanted brighter lights over the workbench. Then he bought a used dust collector and needed help checking the plug. I repaired the switch on a second-hand planer. I replaced a cracked cord. I added a safe outlet near the garage door so he would stop running an extension cord across the floor. None of those jobs seemed large by itself. Melissa would make coffee while I worked. Lauren sometimes came by and sat on an overturned bucket in the garage. Craig talked about cabinet styles and wood prices. For a few hours, I felt like I belonged in the middle of something again. Martha used to warn me about that. Not about Craig. She never disliked him. She warned me about solving problems before people asked. "Let them tell you what they need," she once said, after I spent a weekend fixing Melissa's fence without being invited. "Otherwise, you'll start thinking work is the same as love." I told her a fixed fence was useful either way. She gave me a look and went back inside. After she died, usefulness became easier than sitting alone. If Melissa needed money, I paid something. If Craig needed a repair, I brought my tools. If Lauren needed help moving a dresser, I showed up early with straps. The electric bill stayed close to $240 through that first year. Sometimes it was a little higher in summer. Sometimes it dropped in winter. I looked at the automatic withdrawal, entered it in my checkbook, and forgot about it. The temporary arrangement passed its first Christmas. Then it passed another. Melissa never asked me to stop. I never asked her when she planned to take it back. In 2024, Craig started calling the garage a cabinet shop. He printed business cards. He hung a small sign inside the garage, where the neighborhood rules couldn't bother him. He bought a larger table saw and a used sander that looked heavy enough to damage the concrete. The first time I saw it, I asked, "What does that draw?" Craig wiped sawdust from the control panel. "Not much. Everything draws something. The guy I bought it from ran it in his garage." That doesn't answer me. He smiled and slapped the side of the machine. "I'm not asking you to wire it today." Melissa came through the door with 3 glasses of lemonade. "Can we not turn this into an inspection?" she asked. "I'm asking one question." Annie answered. "No, he didn't." Craig picked up his glass. "I'll check the manual." I let it go. He did make beautiful cabinets. I'll give him that. His joints were tight, his drawers slid smoothly, and he could match a stain better than most people. He got a few jobs through neighbors, then a kitchen remodel through somebody Melissa knew. When he delivered his first full set, he called me from the driveway. "Come look," he said. The cabinets were strapped in the back of a rented trailer. Craig walked me around them, pointing out the soft close hinges and the trim he had made by hand. "You built all this in that garage?" "Every piece." I ran my hand along the edge of a door. "It was good work. You should be proud," I told him. His whole face changed. For once, he looked at me the way he had when he first married Melissa, like my opinion carried some weight. That evening, he grilled steaks. Lauren came over after work. We ate on the back patio, while Craig talked about getting enough orders to leave regular employment behind. Melissa raised her glass of tea. To Craig's shop. We all lifted ours. I paid the electric bill that month without looking closely at the amount. The following summer, the automatic draft rose to $326. Gainesville was hot, and I assumed the air conditioner was working harder. The next draft was $381. I called Melissa. "Has the air conditioner been running all day?" "Pretty much," she said. "It's been awful." "Have you changed the filter?" Craig did. "Are you sure?" She sighed. "Dad, yes. I offered to come check the unit." "No, that's okay. It's cooling." I heard a machine running in the background. It had a steady high whine. "What's that noise?" "Craig's working." "In the garage?" "Yes, I need to go." She ended the call before I could ask anything else. I didn't connect the sound to the bill. Not then. Craig had always used tools in the garage. Melissa had told me the heat was responsible, and I wanted to believe her. What bothered me was how quickly she got off the phone. The next Sunday, I drove over with 2 air filters in my trunk. Melissa opened the door, but didn't invite me inside. "I told you we changed it. I was nearby." She looked back toward the kitchen. A stack of papers sat on the counter beside her purse. On top was a glossy pamphlet showing a smiling, gray-haired couple walking beside a pond. The words, "Independent Senior Living," were printed across the front. I nodded toward it. "Who's moving?" Melissa turned and slid a grocery flyer over the pamphlet. Nobody. Craig brought home junk mail. "It has your handwriting on it." She looked at me again. "Dad, I'm in the middle of something." The garage machinery started behind the house. The sound was deeper than the one I had heard on the phone. "I can check the filter while I'm here." "We don't need you to." That was the first time she had ever said it that way. Not, "You don't have to." She said, "We don't need you to." I put the filters back in my trunk and drove home. The following month, GRU drafted $910 from my checking account. I sat at my desk and stared at the number. Then I opened the blue utility account folder. There were no recent statements inside, only the original confirmation and the first few bills from years earlier. I checked my email. Nothing. I checked the account drawer, then the basket where I kept unopened mail. Nothing from GRU. The service was mine. The money came from my bank. Somehow, the actual bills were going somewhere I couldn't see. I logged into my bank, printed the previous 12 statements, and laid them across the desk. The withdrawals formed a steady line, then began climbing in uneven jumps. I found a yellow marker in Martha's old desk cup. I circled every GRU draft and wrote the date beside each increase. Then I picked up the phone and called my daughter. She answered on the 4th ring. "Hey Dad, I'm cooking. Can I call you back?" GRU took $910 from my account this morning. The sound of a cabinet door closing came through the phone. Then the kitchen got quiet. "That can't be right," she said. "It's right. I'm looking at it." "Well, it's been hot. It was hot last month. Rates went up too. Did they go up enough to triple the bill?" She didn't answer right away. I could hear oil popping in a pan. "I don't know the exact rate," she said. "I don't work for GRU. Where are the statements?" "What statements?" "The electric bills, Melissa. They come here." That was the first straight answer I got. "Why do they come there?" "It's the service address. They used to come to me." "I don't remember that." "I have the old ones in front of me." She lowered her voice. "Okay, then maybe something changed." "What changed?" I said, "I don't know." "Can you bring me the latest bill?" There was another pause. "I'll look for it." "You just said they come there. That doesn't mean I know where every piece of paper is." I looked at the 12 bank statements spread across my desk. $910 is a large piece of paper. "Dad, don't talk to me like that." "Like what? Like I'm doing something to you." I leaned back in my chair. The yellow marker was still in my hand. I asked for a bill, and I said I'd look. Craig spoke in the background. I couldn't make out the words, but I heard my name. Melissa covered the phone. Their voices went low. Then she came back sounding calmer. "Why don't you come Sunday?" she asked. "We'll have lunch. Lauren might be here." "Might be?" "She's working a lot. I'll ask her." I knew what had happened. The conversation had reached the place where Melissa didn't want to answer, so she offered me a visit instead. It worked. "All right," I said. "Good. I have to get back to dinner." "The bill, Melissa. I heard you." She hung up. I sat there with the phone against my ear for a few seconds after the line went dead. Then I called GRU. A man named Daniel answered after I worked through the recorded menu. He asked for the account number, the service address, and the last 4 digits of my identification. "The account is solely in your name," he said. "And the $910 charge is correct?" "Yes, sir. That's the current amount." "Is there a late fee in there?" "No." "A deposit?" "No, sir." "Some kind of adjustment?" "I'm not seeing one." "So, that's electricity?" "It's the billed service total." He couldn't tell me much more without opening the statement. I asked where the paper bills were being sent. He read Melissa's address back to me. "When did that change?" "Let me check." His keyboard clicked. The mailing preference was updated in January of last year through the online account. By who? I can't see a name attached to an online change. I started to tell him nobody else had permission. Then I remembered giving Melissa my login. It happened the year before, at her kitchen table. She needed a utility statement for an insurance form. I had written my username and password on the back of an envelope because the website kept rejecting the code on her phone. "Leave this with me," she had said. "I'll print what I need." I left it. I never changed the password. Daniel was still on the line. "Sir, I'm here. Would you like to update the mailing address?" My answer should have been yes. Instead, I asked, "If I change it, does the service address get notified?" "No, it only changes where the statement goes." I looked at the blue folder. Changing the address would have been simple. It also would have told Melissa I didn't believe she would bring me the bill. "I'll wait," I said. "Is there anything else I can help you with?" I asked him to confirm the phone number on the account. It was Melissa's. I had given her that too. "Change it to mine," I said. He read my number back and sent a verification code. I gave it to him. Then I reset the online password. It wasn't much, but when the confirmation arrived on my phone, I felt like I had recovered a key I hadn't realized was missing. Sunday came with low clouds and heavy air. I drove to Melissa's house carrying the 2 air filters from my trunk. I also brought my tool bag. I told myself the tools were only there in case I checked the air conditioner. Nobody had asked me to bring them. Craig opened the door. "Stanley, good timing." He took the filters from me before saying, "Hello. Where do these go?" "One is for the return in the hallway. The other is a spare." "Great. The old one's probably filthy." Melissa came around the corner. I told him we changed it. Craig looked at her. "You told me you were going to." "I thought you did." They stared at each other. I stood between them holding my tool bag. "Where's Lauren?" I asked. "She got called in," Melissa said. "On a Sunday?" "She works Sundays sometimes." "What does she do that requires all these Sundays?" Melissa gave me a tired look. "Dad, she's 24. You can call her yourself." That was true. I could have called Lauren. I usually waited for Melissa to tell me when everyone was getting together, because that was how our family had always worked. Martha arranged things before she died. Afterward, Melissa took over. I had let one woman's kitchen calendar become another woman's text messages. Craig had already walked toward the hallway with the filter. I followed him and watched him pull the old one from the return. It was gray with dust and bowed in the middle. "That didn't happen in 1 month," I said. Craig shrugged. "Time gets away from you? You said you changed it?" "I thought I did. That unit is working harder because nobody checks it." Melissa called from the kitchen. "Can we just eat?" The meal was roast chicken, rice, and green beans from a can. It tasted fine. Melissa kept asking whether I wanted more, the way she did when she wanted the table quiet. The electric bill never appeared. Halfway through lunch, Craig set down his fork. "You still have that meter that checks motor draw?" "Yes." "The clamp kind?" "I have 2. He nodded as if that settled something. "What do you need it for?" I asked. "Nothing urgent. One of my machines is acting strange." "Which machine?" "The sander." "What's it doing?" "Slowing down under load. That could be the motor, could be the supply. That's what I figured." Melissa got up and carried her plate to the sink. I knew this would turn into garage talk. Craig smiled at me. Take a look after lunch. There it was. Lunch had a job attached. I should have said no. Instead, I finished eating faster. The attached garage smelled of sawdust and wood finish. Craig had added metal shelves along one wall. Sheets of plywood stood upright near the door. A plastic curtain hung from the ceiling, separating the cutting area from a little finishing space. The larger table saw had been moved. In its old spot stood a wide drum sander I hadn't seen before. That the one? Craig nodded. When did you get it? Couple months ago. The label on the motor faced the wall. Help me turn it. It's heavy, I noticed. We shifted it far enough for me to see the plate. Craig stood too close while I read it. This isn't a small motor. It's not industrial. I didn't say it was. The last owner ran it at home. On what circuit? Craig rubbed the back of his neck. I don't know. Then why do you keep telling me that? He stepped away. Can you test it or not? I can test the circuit. I'm not running that machine until I know what it's connected to. It's been running fine. You said it slows down. Only sometimes. I opened my tool bag and stopped. My pliers were there. So was the clamp meter. I had packed both without being asked because I expected Craig to need something. I had trained myself to arrive prepared for work, even when my daughter called it lunch. I closed the bag again. Show me the panel. Craig looked annoyed. You know where it is. The electrical panel was partly blocked by stacked cabinet doors. I made him move them. He complained about scratching the finish until I reminded him the panel needed clear space. I removed the cover and checked the breaker labels. Most were the ones I had written years earlier. 2 newer labels were in Craig's handwriting. Garage 2. Garage Extra. I pointed at them. Who added these? He glanced toward the kitchen door. A guy. What guy? An electrician? Name? I'd have to find the invoice. I looked inside without touching anything. The wiring I could see was neat enough, but I wasn't there to inspect somebody else's work. More importantly, Craig had added equipment and circuits without mentioning either one. I put the cover back. I'm not testing that machine today. Why not? Because I don't know what you've changed. I just showed you. No. You showed me 2 labels. His jaw tightened. I thought you came to help. I came for lunch. He laughed once. There wasn't anything friendly in it, right? Lunch. Melissa opened the door from the kitchen. What's going on? Your dad's upset because I hired an electrician. I'm not upset about that. Craig folded his arms. Then what are you upset about? I looked past him at the sander, the plastic curtain, and the new shelves. The garage had changed around my work. The safe outlets I installed for small tools were now part of a business I knew almost nothing about. I asked for the electric bill, I said. Melissa's face changed. Craig glanced at her. It was quick, but I saw it. She said, I told you I'd find it. Did you? Not yet. It's been 5 days. I've been busy. Craig stepped between us, not close enough to threaten me, but close enough to end the conversation. If this is about the power bill, we already told you. Rates went up, and the air conditioner's been running nonstop. The filter was clogged. Exactly. A dirty filter doesn't explain everything. You don't know that. No, I don't. That's why I want the statement. Melissa pressed her fingers against her forehead. Dad, please don't do this today. Do what? Come into our house and question every little thing. I looked at the open tool bag on Craig's bench. They didn't mind me coming into their house when I carried that. I picked it up. Craig said, So you're not checking the sander? Not today. Fine. He turned away before I reached the garage door. Melissa followed me outside. A light rain had started. We stood under the edge of the roof while drops tapped against Craig's truck. You embarrassed him, she said. There were 3 people in that garage. You know what I mean. No, I don't. He's trying to build something. Every time he talks about it, you start asking what could go wrong. I repaired half that garage for free. I know, Dad. I put safe outlets in there because he said he was using small equipment. Now there are new circuits and machines I've never seen. He didn't need your permission. The words landed harder than she intended. I could tell by the way she looked down afterward. No, I said. He didn't. She rubbed her arms against the damp air. Please don't make this into a fight. I'm asking to see a bill I pay. And I said, I'll find it. When? I don't know. Soon. Bring it to my house tomorrow. I have appointments. Tuesday. She looked through the front window toward the kitchen. Why are you suddenly acting like we're taking advantage of you? I hadn't said that. Hearing her say it made me wonder who had. I need the statement, Melissa. Her mouth tightened. I'll see what I can do. Then she went inside. I drove home with the wipers on low. The rain stopped before I reached my street, but I sat in the car after pulling into the driveway. My phone was on the passenger seat. There was a message from Lauren. Sorry I missed lunch. Mom said you were coming to fix Grandpa's shop stuff. Rain check? She had called it Grandpa's shop stuff, then corrected herself in a second message. Craig's shop stuff. Sorry. I read both messages twice. Melissa hadn't invited Lauren to have lunch with me. She had told Lauren I was coming to work for Craig. I typed, I'd like to see you when nobody needs anything fixed. I almost erased it because it sounded needy. Then I sent it. Lauren answered before I got out of the car. Me too. Coffee. Wednesday, just us. That was the smallest invitation I had received in a long time, and the first one without a broken appliance attached. Inside, I put my tool bag on the workbench. I took out the clamp meter, coiled its lead, and returned it to the drawer. Then I held my electrician's pliers for a moment. The handles were worn smooth where my palm had closed around them for years. Martha had been right. I had made work stand in for things I was afraid to request directly. I fixed whatever Melissa and Craig put in front of me, then waited for a chair at their table, as if I had earned it. I set the pliers down. On the kitchen calendar, I wrote coffee with Lauren under Wednesday. Below it, I wrote one more thing. Ask Melissa for the bill again. Tuesday afternoon, she sent me a photograph. It showed the top third of a GRU notice. The picture included the logo, a date, and the words, rate information. Everything below that had been cut off. I called her. What am I looking at? The rate notice. I asked for the bill. That came with it. Then take a picture of the bill. I'm not home now. Where's the notice? In my purse. You carry utility notices in your purse? I grabbed it because you kept asking. I asked for the statement, Melissa. She exhaled into the phone. This proves rates changed. It proves there was a notice about rates. I can't even see what changed, then look it up. All right, she hadn't expected that answer. Dad, I have to go. Send me the complete notice when you get home. Fine, she didn't. The next morning, I met Lauren at a coffee shop near Northwest 16th Avenue. She was already sitting outside when I arrived. She had a paper cup in front of her and another beside it. I guessed plain coffee, she said. You guessed correctly. I almost ordered something complicated to see if you'd drink it out of politeness. I raised your mother. I stopped drinking things out of politeness years ago. She laughed and pushed the cup toward me. For the first few minutes, we talked about her work. She handled scheduling at a dental office. One receptionist had quit, so Lauren had been covering extra shifts. That explained some missed Sundays, but not all of them. She stirred her coffee with a wooden stick. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine. Mom said you've been having a hard time. With what? Being alone, I guess. I put my cup down. Did she say that? She said you get overwhelmed when people show up without warning. When have you ever shown up without warning? Last month. You called first. I called Mom. She said you were resting and probably didn't want company. I was cleaning the garage. Lauren looked at me for a moment. She said it was a bad day. What does that mean? The anniversary of Grandma getting sick. Martha didn't get sick on that date. Oh, I watched traffic pass behind her. A delivery truck stopped at the light, then pulled away. Was there another time? I asked. Lauren looked uncomfortable. Grandpa, I'm not trying to get in the middle. You're already in the middle if somebody is speaking for me. She said, Sundays wear you out. Your mother invites me on Sundays. She said you prefer short visits now. I never told her that. Lauren peeled the paper seam from her cup. I thought maybe you didn't want me coming over as much, she said. There wasn't any accusation in her voice. That made it worse. I always want to see you. Then why don't you call me? It was a fair question. I kept waiting for your mother to arrange things. Why? Habit. She nodded, but she didn't let me off that easily. You have my number. I know. You text me when there's a hurricane. I like to make sure you have batteries. You can text when there isn't a hurricane. I smiled a little. All right. She reached across the table and tapped my phone. Put me in your favorites. You're already in my contacts. That's not what I said. I opened the phone and did it. Her name moved to the top of the list. There, I said. Now I'm officially important. You were already important. I know. It's still nice to see. We sat quietly for a moment. Then she asked why I had left lunch upset. I could have told her everything. I could have shown her the $910 draft and asked what she knew about Craig's machines. Instead, I told her the simplest part. I asked your mother for a utility bill, and she hasn't given it to me. Why would she have your utility bill? It's for their house. Lauren frowned. Why is it yours? I put the electric service in my name when they needed help. When? A while ago? How long is a while? 4 years. Her eyebrows went up. You've paid their electricity for 4 years? It wasn't supposed to be 4. Does Mom know you're still paying it? Yes. Does Craig? Yes. She sat back in her chair. I didn't know that. It's between us. Then why tell me? Because you asked me a direct question. She looked down at her coffee. Mom has been worried about your accounts. What accounts? Just things, bills, online passwords. She said you keep papers everywhere and lose track. I almost laughed. Martha would have laughed. My folders were dated, labeled, and arranged in a desk drawer. I still balance my checkbook to the penny. Has she said that more than once? Lauren nodded. To you and Craig. Who brought it up? Mom, usually. I asked when she first heard it. She thought about it. Maybe around Christmas. She said she was helping you organize your utilities. That was the month before the mailing address changed. I didn't tell Lauren that. She had already given me more than she realized, and I didn't want her feeling as if I had invited her to coffee for information. I'm not asking you to choose sides, I said. I know. If your mother says I don't want company, call me. I will. And if I don't answer, I'll leave a message like a normal person. That'll work. Before we left, she took a picture of us with her phone. I hated having my picture taken, but I let her. I'm sending this to Mom, she said. Why? So she knows I saw you and you survived. I looked at her. She lowered the phone. Too much? A little. Sorry, no. Send it. She did. Melissa called before I reached home. I let it ring until I was parked in my driveway. Why are you talking to Lauren about our bills? She asked. I answered her question. How did that even come up? She asked why I was upset Sunday. You could have said it was nothing. It isn't nothing. She has enough going on without worrying about us. I didn't ask her to worry. You told her we can't pay our electricity. I told her I've been paying it. That makes us sound helpless. I didn't add anything to it. Melissa went quiet. Then she said, You've been acting strange lately. Since when? Since that big withdrawal. That was yesterday. You know what I mean? No, I don't. You're calling people. You're checking behind me. You had coffee with Lauren without saying anything. She's my granddaughter. I don't need permission. I didn't say you did. You sound like you did. She took a breath and softened her voice. I'm glad you saw her. I just wish you'd stop making everything feel secretive. I looked through the windshield at my closed garage door. I asked you for a piece of mail with my name on it. I am going to find it. When? I don't know. Then I'm getting the information another way. What does that mean? It means I'm calling GRU. She ended the call without saying goodbye. I went inside, sat at my desk, and opened the online account. The new password worked. That was my deliberate move. I wasn't waiting for Melissa anymore. The main screen showed the current balance, payment history, and service status. The paper statement section was empty because the account wasn't enrolled in electronic billing. There was no past document archive. I could see the $910 payment. I could see that the account was current. I couldn't see the usage graph or the detailed charges printed on the bills sent to Melissa's house. I called customer service again. This time, a woman named Denise answered. I explained that I was trying to understand a sharp increase. Was the latest bill based on an estimate? I asked. She checked. No, sir. It was an actual meter reading. Did the residential rate triple? No. Did it double? No, sir. I held the cropped photograph Melissa sent me beside the phone. There was a rate notice. There have been adjustments, but the amount you're describing would not come from the rate alone. What would cause it? Increased consumption. How much increased? She compared the current period with the same period from the prior year. She couldn't diagnose equipment, and I didn't ask her to. The number she gave me was enough. The house had used more than 3 times the electricity. I wrote that down. Could the air conditioner do that? It's possible for faulty equipment to increase usage, but we can't determine the appliance from here. Could the meter be wrong? It's possible, but it's not common. I asked what I could do. She offered a meter accuracy check. A technician would inspect the outside meter and confirm whether it was recording correctly. There was no charge for the basic visit. The earliest appointment was Friday morning. Schedule it, I said. Because the meter was outside, I didn't need to enter the house. Still, Denise said the occupants should know someone might be working near the property. That created the next problem. I called Melissa. She answered with, "What did you do? I scheduled a meter check for Friday. You had no right to do that without asking us. It's my account. It's our house. The technician stays outside. Cancel it." No. "Dad, the rate didn't triple. The electricity use did." She didn't speak. "Did you know that?" I asked. "It's a big house. It's the same house it was last year. Craig's been home more. That doesn't triple a bill. How would you know?" "Because I spent 40 years calculating loads." She raised her voice. "Then why are you asking me?" "Because I haven't seen the statement." Craig took the phone from her. "We're not having some utility guys poking around during work hours. He'll inspect the meter." "I have customers?" "On Friday morning?" "I have a business, Stanley. People come by, then tell them the electric meter is being checked. You're making us look like we don't pay our bills. The technician doesn't care who pays. I care." I waited. Craig said, "Cancel it." No. His breathing changed. He wasn't used to hearing that answer from me. "You think because your name is on one account, you get to inspect my property?" "I think because $910 left my bank, I get to verify the meter. The heat's been bad." Melissa said that. "Because it's true. Then the meter check will confirm it." He handed the phone back to her. I heard him say, "Deal with this." Melissa came on quietly. "Why are you doing this now?" "Because I should have done it sooner." She didn't respond. "The appointment is between 9 and 11, I said. "I'll be there." "You don't need to be." "I know." Friday morning, I parked across the street at 10 minutes before 9. The garage door was closed. Craig's truck sat in the driveway. Melissa's car was gone. The GRU technician arrived a little after 9. His name was printed on a badge, but I didn't hold him there long enough to remember it. I showed my identification and confirmed I was the account holder. He examined the meter, checked the seal, and ran a test with a handheld device. Then he watched the display for a while. Craig came out through the front door. He didn't greet me. "How long is this going to take?" he asked the technician. "Not long. Is something wrong? I'm checking accuracy." Craig looked at me. "I told you the meter's fine." The technician finished his test and replaced the cover. "The meter is recording within range," he told me. "I don't see an accuracy problem." "So the usage is real?" "The meter is registering what's passing through it." He pointed at the display. "There's a fairly strong load right now." The garage was quiet. The air conditioner was running. I could hear its outside unit around the side of the house. "Can you tell what's using it?" I asked. Not from the meter. That was all he could do. He returned to his truck and left. The meter wasn't broken. The rate hadn't caused the increase. Something inside that property was consuming more than 3 times the power, and both Melissa and Craig were trying to keep me from seeing the details. Craig stood in the driveway with his hands on his hips. "Satisfied?" "No." "You had your inspection." "I still need the bill." He walked toward the garage. Before opening it, he looked back at me. "You're getting worked up over things you don't understand." "I understand the meter. I mean the bigger picture." "What bigger picture?" He opened the side door and went inside. My phone rang before I could get back to my car. Melissa's name appeared on the screen. "I heard the meter was fine," she said. "It was, so this can stop now." "No." She was silent. Then she said, "I made an appointment for Monday." "With who?" "Her name is Nora Kent. She helps families organize things when an older parent starts getting overwhelmed." "I'm not overwhelmed. She's already coming." "To my house?" "Yes." "You invited a stranger to my house without asking me?" "It's just a conversation, Dad." I looked at Craig's closed garage. The question was no longer only where my electric bill had gone. "Be here with her," I said. "If this is a conversation about me, you're going to say it in front of me." She arrived at 10 Monday morning carrying a canvas tote and a thin laptop. Melissa came with her. Craig did too. "I asked you to be here," I told Melissa. "I didn't ask for Craig. He's family," she said. Craig walked past me into the living room. Nora stayed on the porch until I invited her inside. She looked to be in her 50s and wore flat shoes, dark pants, and a green blouse. She offered her hand. "Mr. Ellis, I appreciate you meeting with me. Did you know I hadn't requested this meeting?" Her smile held for a second, then changed. "Melissa said the family wanted to discuss some support options." Melissa wanted to discuss them. Melissa shut the door. "Dad, can we please sit down before you make this difficult?" It became difficult before Nora arrived. Nora glanced between us. Perhaps we should clarify what today is for. We sat in the living room. I took my usual chair. Melissa and Craig sat together on the couch. Nora chose the chair nearest the coffee table and opened her laptop. She asked how I had been managing since Martha died. "I've been managing," I said. "Do you prepare your own meals?" "Yes." "Drive yourself?" "You saw my car outside." Craig shifted on the couch. Nora said, "I ask everyone the same questions, then keep asking." She asked about medications. I took one blood pressure pill every morning. She asked whether I ever forgot it. Sometimes I stand in the kitchen and wonder if I took it. Melissa leaned forward. "See? So I use a pill organizer," I said. "If Monday is empty, I took it." Nora nodded. "That's a good system." Melissa sat back. The questions continued. Did I fall? No. Had I left the stove on? No. Did I get lost while driving? No. Had I missed medical appointments? No. Have you had difficulty paying bills on time? Nora asked. No. Melissa said, "There was an issue with the electric account." I looked at her. "There is an issue with your electric account." Nora stopped typing. Craig said, "This is exactly what we mean." "What do you mean?" I asked. "You're confused about whose house is whose. I know exactly whose house it is. The service account is mine. The house is yours." "That doesn't make sense," he said. "It makes perfect sense. I pay GRU for electricity used at your address." Nora looked at Melissa. I understood we were discussing Mr. Ellis's household bills. "We are," Melissa said. "No, we're not," I told her. "You brought her here because I questioned a $910 withdrawal for your house." Nora closed the laptop halfway. "Was that information included on the intake form?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. Melissa said, "The amount isn't the point. It's the reason you made this appointment. The reason is how you reacted." I checked a meter. "You sat outside our home waiting for a utility worker during a scheduled appointment." Craig leaned toward Nora. "He's been fixated on this for days. He calls Melissa repeatedly. He questions normal expenses. Then he drags Lauren into it. I had coffee with my granddaughter. You told her private financial information. I told her what I pay." Nora raised one hand. "I need to slow this down," she said. "Mr. Ellis, may I ask what you understood my role to be? Someone who helps older people organize their lives. That's part of it. I work with families on aging in place, home safety, transportation, and planning. I'm not a physician. I don't determine competency." I looked at Melissa. She avoided my eyes. "Were you told I needed a competency assessment?" I asked Nora. "I was told there were concerns about judgment, memory, and financial management. What examples?" Nora looked at her screen. Melissa said, "You don't need to read the whole form. It's about me," I said. "It's information I provided privately to a stranger you brought into my house." Nora opened the laptop again. "I can review the concerns generally," she said. "I was told there have been misplaced bills, missed account notices, repeated payments, impulsive financial decisions, and increasing social withdrawal." "Which payments did I repeat?" Melissa pressed her lips together. Nora looked at her. "The form refers to utilities paid twice." "That never happened," I said. Craig spoke quickly. "He doesn't understand the arrangement. I understand automatic draft." I got up and walked to my desk. The bank statements were already inside the blue folder. I had placed them there before Nora arrived because I suspected Melissa would mention the electric bill. I returned with the folder and put the statements on the coffee table. "Here are 12 months of withdrawals, 1 GRU payment each month. None missed, none repeated." Nora looked through them. Melissa said, "That's one account. It's the account you used as an example." Nora reached the last statement and saw the $910 draft. "Is this for your home?" she asked me. "No, it's for theirs." "And the service is in your name?" "Yes." "Why?" "They needed temporary help 4 years ago." Craig gave a short laugh. He offered. "I did." Nora turned to Melissa. "Do you have access to this utility account?" "She helps with the paperwork," Craig said. I asked Melissa. Melissa folded her hands in her lap. "I used to help Dad log in. Do you currently receive the statements?" "They go to our house because that's the service address. Have you given them to him?" "I haven't found the latest one." I said, "GRU mailed every paper statement to her address after the online mailing preference changed." Nora looked at the intake form again. Mr. Ellis, did you authorize that change? I gave Melissa my password for one insurance document. I don't remember authorizing anything else. You don't remember, Craig said. I turned to him. I remember giving her the password. I remember why. I remember where we were sitting. I don't remember telling her to redirect my mail because I didn't do it. Melissa's cheeks had gone red. I was trying to keep the household records together, she said. Whose household? Ours. Whose account? Yours, technically. There's nothing technical about the name on the bill. Nora closed the laptop fully. I think it would be helpful if I spoke with Mr. Ellis alone. Craig stood. Why? Because he is the person I'm here to assess for support needs. You said you don't assess competency. I don't. I do need to understand whether he wants my services. He doesn't know what he needs, Craig said. Nora's expression hardened. That statement is exactly why I need a private conversation. Melissa stood slowly. We'll wait in the car. Craig didn't move. She touched his arm. Come on. He looked at me, then followed her outside. When the door closed, Nora remained quiet for a moment. Did Melissa tell you I asked for this visit? I asked. Yes. I didn't. She said you were resistant to discussing it directly, but that you had agreed after a recent problem. The recent problem was me asking for my own mail. Nora nodded once. Did she tell you I was paying their electric bill? No. Did she tell you it had tripled? No. Did she tell you the mailing address was changed through an online account she could access? No. I pointed toward her laptop. Did she say what these impulsive financial decisions were? Nora reopened the intake form. One example says you continue paying expenses for relatives despite expressing confusion about why. I stared at her. I wasn't confused about why I started paying. I was confused about why the bill increased. That is a meaningful difference. What else? She noted. You perform home repairs that may no longer be safe for you. I'm a retired electrician. She included that. Did she include that the repairs were at her house? Nora checked. No. I sat back. The pamphlet on Melissa's counter had not been junk mail. The appointment hadn't come from concern after the meter check. Melissa had been building the same picture for months. I was forgetful. I was isolated. I was unsafe with tools. I was confused about money. Each fact had enough truth around the edges to sound reasonable. I had forgotten a pill and created a system. I lived alone because Martha was dead. I repaired things because Melissa and Craig asked. I paid their electricity because they accepted it. Nora turned the laptop so I could see the intake page. I didn't touch it. At the bottom, Melissa had written one final concern. Father becomes defensive when offered help. I read it twice. That makes every objection into proof, I said. Nora turned the screen back. It can, she said. Is that what you do? No, I establish consent first. I should have done that before accepting this appointment. She offered to end the visit. I told her I wanted one thing in writing. What would that be? That I didn't request your services, and that you did not perform a competency assessment. I can provide a visit summary stating both. Send it to my address. I will, not Melissa's. I understand. That was the practical win. It didn't fix the electric bill or explain the machinery. It did put one honest record where Melissa had tried to create a dishonest impression. Nora packed her laptop. Before leaving, she gave me a plain business card. If you ever want information for yourself, you may call. I won't accept another family referral without speaking to you first. Thank you. She stepped onto the porch. Melissa and Craig got out of their car. Nora spoke with them near the driveway. I stayed inside. Their conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. Craig threw both hands up. Melissa said something I couldn't hear. Nora shook her head, handed Melissa a sheet from her tote, and walked to her car. When she drove away, Melissa came inside first. You made me look like a liar, she said. You lied on the form, I summarized. You said I paid utilities twice. You asked the same questions over and over. That isn't a repeated payment. Craig shut the door behind him. Nora was useless, he said. She told you what she actually does, I replied. She got scared because you started showing her bank statements. Why would bank statements scare her? You know how to perform when somebody's watching. I looked at Melissa. Is that what you believe? She rubbed her forehead. I believe you're not seeing how much we've been doing for you. What have you been doing? We check on you, usually when something needs fixing. That's not fair. You tell Lauren I don't want visitors. You changed the contact information on my utility account. You receive mail addressed to me. Then you bring a consultant here and tell her I can't manage bills. I changed one phone number and the mailing preference. For convenience, mine or yours. Craig stepped closer. This has gone far enough. I didn't raise my voice. You're right. Return my house key. Melissa stared at me. What? The spare key. That's for emergencies. You used it last month when I wasn't home. I dropped off groceries. You put them in my refrigerator without calling. You were grateful. I was. I'm still asking for the key. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. You don't trust me. I trusted you with a password. You changed my account information. I was helping. I didn't consent. She reached into her purse, removed a brass key, and placed it on the coffee table. The sound was small. Craig said, "You're going to regret pushing away the only people looking out for you. I'm not pushing anyone away. I'm deciding who enters my house. And when you fall, I'll use my phone. And if you can't, then a key in Melissa's purse won't help, unless she happens to be outside." He shook his head. "You always have an answer." I didn't have enough answers. That was the problem. Melissa picked up her purse. "You want everything formal now?" she asked. "Fine. I want things accurate. You think Nora's little note proves something? It proves I didn't ask for her. It doesn't prove you're capable of managing all this." "All what? Your house, your accounts, your decisions?" She looked toward Craig before finishing. "If you won't discuss it voluntarily, there are other ways to get an evaluation." Craig opened the door. I asked, "What other ways?" Melissa stopped on the porch. "There's a court process," she said, "a competency petition." For the first time that morning, she looked me directly in the eye. Craig already printed the forms. I watched her walk to the car without answering. Craig backed out fast enough to throw gravel across the driveway. Melissa kept her face turned toward the passenger window. I picked up the brass key from the coffee table. It had a strip of blue tape around the top. Martha put that tape there years earlier, so Melissa could tell my key from her own. Returning it should have settled the matter. It didn't. I knew how easy it was to copy a key. I also knew Melissa probably hadn't done that. The problem was that I no longer wanted to rely on probably. I went to the hardware store and bought a new deadbolt. Changing it took 20 minutes. The old lock worked perfectly, which made removing it feel wasteful. I set it on the kitchen table with the screws arranged beside it. The new key turned cleanly. I locked the door, walked around to the back, and tested that one too. Then I put one spare in my desk drawer and another in a small lockbox inside the garage. That was physical work I could understand. The door either opened or it didn't. The court forms were different. I found the Florida court website and searched for the name Melissa had used. The page explained the basic process in plain enough language. A person could file a petition asking a court to determine whether another adult lacked the ability to make some or all decisions. It wasn't the same as a family conversation. It wasn't a consultant offering support. Once filed, strangers could be asked to examine private parts of a person's life. I stopped reading after that. Craig printing forms didn't mean Melissa would sign them. Melissa had said things in anger before, so had I. My phone rang around 6. It was Lauren. "Are you home?" she asked. "Yes. Can I come by?" "You don't have to ask like that." "I know. I'm asking anyway." She arrived carrying a bag from a sandwich shop. When she tried her old key, it didn't fit. She knocked and held it up when I opened the door. "Did your lock break?" I changed it. Her smile disappeared. "Because of Mom? Come inside." We ate at the kitchen table. Lauren had brought turkey sandwiches, potato salad, and 2 oatmeal cookies. She kept looking at the new key beside my plate. "Do you want me to have one?" she asked. "I haven't decided who gets spares. That's fair." She took a bite, chewed, and put the sandwich down. Mom called me after they left. I assumed she would. She was crying. I waited. "She said you threw them out?" I asked for my key. They left. "She said you humiliated her in front of a professional. The professional asked to speak with me privately. That's not how Mom told it. I'm sure it isn't." Lauren wiped her fingers on a napkin. "She asked me something weird last week." "What?" "She wanted me to write down times you forgot things." I stopped eating. "What did you tell her?" I asked what she meant. Lauren pulled out her phone and found a message. She read it rather than handing me the screen. Any confusion, repeated stories, missed plans, trouble with money, unsafe choices, or changes in personality. Did she say why? She said Nora needed family background. Nora never mentioned a statement from you. I didn't send one. Why not? Because I couldn't think of anything. She gave me a small smile. You repeat stories sometimes, but everybody does that. Craig has told me about buying his first table saw at least 6 times. That's because he changes the price every time. I noticed. She put the phone away. I told Mom I wasn't comfortable writing something just to fill a page. She got mad. What did she say? That I don't see you enough to know. I looked at the lockbox key on the counter. Did she tell you I lose mail? Lauren frowned. She said bills had been disappearing. From where? Your house, I thought. Did she mention GRU? No. Did she mention mail addressed to me, going to her house? No. Lauren leaned back. Is that what's happening? The utility statements are mailed there. Why? The online preference was changed last year. Did Mom change it? I don't know who clicked the button. She understood the distinction. But she gets them, Lauren said. Yes. And she won't give them to you. She says she can't find the latest one. Lauren looked toward the blue folder at the end of the table. Have you gone to the house and looked? It's not my house. I'm not searching their drawers. I could ask her. No. Why? Because then you're carrying the question for me. I can ask her myself. She might answer me. That's exactly why I don't want you doing it. Lauren folded her napkin into smaller and smaller squares. What do you want me to do? Come here when you want to see me. That's it? That's enough. She nodded. Then she reached into her purse and removed a small folded paper. Mom gave me this. It was a blank page titled Family Observations. Underneath were categories for memory, judgment, self-care, safety, and finances. Melissa had written my name at the top. She said I could take a few days, Lauren said. I read the page. May I keep it? Yes. Did she give one to Craig? I think so. Anyone else? She mentioned asking a neighbor if they had noticed changes. Which neighbor? She didn't say. That was the wider problem. Melissa wasn't only talking to Craig or a consultant. She was collecting impressions, hoping enough ordinary moments would look like evidence when placed together. I had lived on that street for years. Someone had seen me leave my trash bin out overnight. Someone had watched me check the mailbox twice. Someone had probably noticed I ate dinner alone. None of it meant what Melissa wanted it to mean. Lauren touched the paper. I can tell her I lost it. No. Tell her you gave it to me. That'll make things worse. It might. Then why? Because I'm done helping people keep secrets about me. Her eyes lowered. I realized how that sounded. I'm not blaming you, I said. I know. Your mother put you in a bad position. She's still my mom. I know that too. Lauren stayed another hour. We talked about ordinary things after that. Her apartment had a dripping kitchen faucet. She said it without asking me to fix it, and I didn't offer. When she left, she hugged me beside the car. I'm not signing anything, she said. You don't owe me that promise. I'm still making it. She drove away. The next morning, I called GRU. I changed the mailing address to my home. The representative confirmed it twice. Future statements will be mailed to your address, she said. The current cycle may already be in production. What happens to statements already sent to the service address? They remain there unless the recipient returns them. Can you tell if they were returned? She checked. No returned mail is noted. So the bills had reached Melissa's house. They hadn't disappeared in transit. That was useful, but incomplete. It told me the envelopes were delivered. It didn't tell me where Melissa put them or what the usage details showed. I asked for the next statement to include the full usage graph. The representative said it would. When should it arrive? Within the normal billing cycle. That meant I still had to wait. Before ending the call, I asked whether changing the mailing address affected the service. No, sir. The account remains active, and only I can request a service stop. As the account holder, yes. I wrote that beneath the GRU number on my notepad. I already knew it. Seeing it in my own handwriting made it feel different. For 4 years, I had treated the account as a favor I couldn't withdraw without hurting my daughter. Legally and practically, it was still a service in my name. I had never lost the right to end it. I had simply avoided using that right. My phone started ringing before noon. Craig? I let it ring once more, then answered. What did you do to the GRU account? He asked. I changed my mailing address. You changed the password too. Last week. Why? It's my account. We need access. For what? To manage the house. You can manage the house from an account in your name. That's not what I asked. No, you asked why you can't access my account. You gave us the password. I gave Melissa the password for one document. That was years ago. Correct. So, now you're cutting us off because you got mad? I'm not cutting off the electricity. I'm taking control of the account information. What's the difference? The lights are still on. He lowered his voice. You need to put the password back. No, we have to see outages and usage. You can call GRU about an outage. And usage. I've been asking you for that. He went silent. I asked, did you try to log in this morning? That's none of your business. It became my business when you discovered the password changed. I wanted to check something. What? He didn't answer. What did you want to check, Craig? The account. That's not an answer. You're acting like we're stealing from you. I'm asking what you tried to access. He hung up. A few minutes later, Melissa sent a message. Changing passwords without warning is exactly the kind of impulsive behavior we're concerned about. I replied, removing access. I didn't authorize is not impulsive. She didn't respond. That afternoon, Nora's visit summary arrived by email. It was short. She wrote that I had not requested the appointment. She had not conducted a medical, psychological, or legal competency assessment. She also noted that I had clearly declined further services arranged without my consent. I printed 2 copies. One went into my desk, the other went into the blue folder beside the bank statements and Lauren's blank observation page. The deliberate action had worked. I had my utility correspondence coming to me, my password under my control, and a written record from Nora. The cost arrived 2 days later. A man in a collared shirt knocked on my new front door. He confirmed my name, handed me a thick envelope, and asked me to sign that I had received it. Is this from Melissa Clark? I asked. I'm only delivering the papers, sir. I signed. He gave me a copy and left. The first page carried the county court heading. Underneath were the words, Petition to Determine Incapacity. Melissa had signed as the petitioner. The listed concerns were familiar. Lost bills, repeated payments, unsafe repair work, social withdrawal, sudden changes to financial accounts, hostility toward family assistance. The $910 electric draft appeared nowhere. Neither did Craig's garage. A second document gave the date for the first required examination. It was less than 2 weeks away. I placed the papers on my kitchen table beside Nora's summary. Then I called Melissa. She answered without speaking. I received it, I said. You left us no choice. You signed statements you know are incomplete. They're not incomplete. Then come here tomorrow and explain everyone. I'm not discussing a court matter alone. Bring Craig. She hesitated. Why? She asked. Because I want both of you to hear what happens next. They came at 2 the next afternoon. Melissa brought a folder. Craig brought nothing. He walked into my living room and looked at the new deadbolt before sitting down. I placed the petition on the coffee table. Tell me which bill I lost, I said. Melissa sat on the couch. This isn't an interrogation. You filed a court petition. It's past conversation. We filed because you refuse help. Which bill did I lose? She opened her folder but didn't remove anything. There have been several. Name one. The electric statements. Those were mailed to your house. You didn't know where they were. Neither did you, according to you. Craig leaned forward. You're twisting everything. I looked at him. Which payment did I repeat? This is about a pattern. Name the payment. Stanley, nobody remembers every transaction. I printed mine. I put the bank statements beside the petition. There is 1 GRU withdrawal each month. No duplicates, no missed payments. Melissa said, That doesn't mean you're managing well. What does managing well look like? Not changing passwords overnight. It was my password. Not canceling family access because you're angry. I canceled access because it wasn't authorized. You gave it to us. I gave it to Melissa for one task. Craig shook his head. You can keep saying that. I will, because it happened. I took out Nora's visit summary and handed it to Melissa. She read the first paragraph. Craig leaned over to see. This means nothing, he said. It means I didn't request her visit. We know that, Melissa replied. Family members arrange help all the time. She also says she didn't conduct a competency assessment. That's why we went through the court. I waited for her to hear herself. She didn't. I put Lauren's blank observation form on top of the other papers. Why did you ask Lauren to build a list against me? Melissa's eyes moved to the page. She gave you that? Yes. She had no right. It had my name on it. It was private. Craig turned toward her. I told you not to involve Lauren. You asked a neighbor, I said. Melissa looked at me sharply. Who said that? It doesn't matter. It matters if Lauren is repeating private family conversations. She told me what involved me. Craig stood and walked to the front window. This is exactly the problem. You're turning everybody against us. I didn't ask anyone to sign anything. We're trying to protect you, Melissa said. From what? From decisions you might regret, such as the account changes, locking us out, refusing support. Those are decisions you dislike. That doesn't make them confused. She closed her folder. Why did you ask us here? To find out what this petition is really for. It says what it's for. No. It says I'm losing the ability to manage money. If that were true, you would have included the largest bill I pay. Craig turned from the window. The power again. Yes, the power again. You're obsessed. I'm paying for it. And we appreciate that. It was the first time he had said those words. They sounded rehearsed. I asked, will you show me the statements now? Melissa looked at Craig. He answered for her. We don't have them. GRU confirmed they were delivered. Mail gets thrown out. Every monthly statement, we don't keep piles of paper. You kept the rate notice, Melissa said, because it explained the increase. The rate didn't explain it. She gripped the folder with both hands. What do you want us to say? The truth. We've told you the truth. Then withdraw the petition. Neither of them answered. I looked from one to the other. What would I have to do for you to withdraw it? Melissa said. Agree to an evaluation. One is already scheduled. A full evaluation. Not just the court visit. What else? Let me help with your accounts. You mean give you the passwords again? Access? Yes. Craig came back to the couch. And stop making sudden changes that affect our house, he said. There it was. I kept my voice even. What changes affect your house? The GRU account. I changed where my mail goes. And the login. That didn't affect your electricity. It affects our ability to plan. For what? He looked at Melissa. She said, usage, payments, outages. You could open an account in your own names. Craig's face tightened. That isn't necessary. It would solve the problem. It would create a deposit and a new monthly expense while I'm growing the shop. Melissa whispered. Craig. He ignored her. You offered to help us, he continued. Now you want to pull it back because you saw one summer bill. I haven't pulled anything back. You're preparing to. I asked to see what I'm paying for. You know what you're paying for. Electricity. At your house. Yes. And at the garage? He stood again. The garage is attached to the house. That wasn't my question. You don't get to divide our property into pieces. I get to ask what draws power through an account in my name. You helped wire that garage for small tools. You knew I wanted a shop. You didn't have a shop when I installed those outlets. So what? You're going to pretend you had nothing to do with it? Melissa touched his wrist. Stop. He pulled away. No, he needs to hear this. He likes being the expert until somebody actually builds something. Then suddenly every favor comes with conditions. The condition was safe use. The condition was that we keep thanking you. The room went quiet. That one found its mark because part of it was true. I had never asked them to praise me. I had expected the work to mean something. Each repair gave me a reason to come over. Each payment made me feel harder to leave out. Craig saw my silence and kept going. You want to be needed, Stanley? Fine. We needed you. Now you're angry because we don't stand around admiring you, Melissa said. That's enough. I looked at her. Is that what you think too? No. Then why did you file this? Because you scared me. How? You're changing things. You're shutting me out. Of my accounts. Of your life. I asked for my mail. She stood. You don't understand what it's like trying to manage Craig, the house, the bills, Lauren, and you. I never asked you to manage me. You don't have to ask. You're my father. That doesn't give you control. Then stop making me responsible. I have. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I pointed to the petition. You filed that when I took back responsibility. She picked up her purse. You're proving why we had to. No, I'm proving why you wanted to. Craig moved toward the door. Are you giving the account access back? He asked. No. Then there's nothing else to discuss. Melissa followed him. At the doorway I said, if the petition is about my welfare, Let the examination happen. If it's about the electric account, withdraw it. She held the door open. You can explain that to the examiner, she said. Then they left. I sat in the same chair until the light shifted across the floor. The conversation had given me the answer I needed, though not the one I originally wanted. Craig had tied the petition directly to the utility account. Melissa had tied my independence to her access. The larger meaning was worse than a hidden bill. They believed any boundary I set could be treated as evidence that I was failing. I called a local attorney that afternoon. I didn't ask him to attack anyone. I asked what I needed to do to respond accurately. His office was above a pharmacy near downtown. The waiting room had 4 chairs and a water dispenser that made a clicking noise. He read the petition while I sat across from his desk. Do you understand what your daughter is asking the court to determine? He asked. Yes. Do you manage your own money? Yes. Any diagnosed memory condition? No. Any recent hospitalization? No. He asked whether I wanted to challenge the examination. No, I'll attend. He nodded. Bring records. Answer what's asked. Don't perform competence. Just be accurate. I paid a retainer before leaving. The check was more than I had spent on myself in months. That was the first direct financial cost of Melissa's petition. It wouldn't be the last if she continued. The relational cost arrived before I reached home. Lauren called from her car. Mom knows I gave you the form. I told you she would. She said I betrayed her. You didn't. She won't answer me now. I'm sorry. Did I make this worse? No, she shouldn't have asked you. Lauren was crying quietly. I could hear her trying not to. I don't want you two fighting because of me, I said. We're not fighting because of you. I knew better than to argue. Come over tonight, I said. I think I need to go home. All right, I'll call tomorrow. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. I know. She ended the call. The required examination took place the following week in a plain office with no family present. The examiner asked the date, my address, and why I was there. My daughter filed a petition saying, I can't manage my affairs. Do you agree? No. She gave me words to remember, asked me to draw a clock, and had me explain how I paid bills. She asked about the GRU account. I told her it served Melissa and Craig's house. Why is it in your name? I agreed to temporary help. Why are you reconsidering? The cost increased and they won't show me the statements. Do you intend to stop paying? I paused. Before that day, my goal had been to see the bill and get an honest explanation. I still wanted both. But even a perfect explanation wouldn't fix what Melissa had done after I asked. Yes, I said. I intend to end the arrangement responsibly. What does responsibly mean? Written notice. Enough time for them to open their own account. A clear stop date. She wrote something down. Does your daughter know that? Not yet. The examination lasted less than an hour. I left knowing the petition wouldn't disappear simply because I had answered well. Melissa could continue. Craig could keep describing each decision as proof. At home, I found another GRU automatic draft pending in my bank account. The money had already started moving out. The service remained active, and I was still carrying the full risk while they argued I couldn't manage it. I opened the blue folder and placed the pending charge behind the other bank statements. Then I went to the cabinet above the refrigerator and took down Martha's bottle of bourbon. She had bought it for a Christmas we never reached. I poured one quiet glass, no toast, no speech. I sat at the kitchen table and drank it slowly. Craig had been right about one thing. I had wanted to be needed. I had used repairs and money to avoid asking whether they wanted me around without them. Proving I was competent was no longer enough. Getting the hidden bill was no longer enough either. The arrangement itself had to end. I rinsed the glass, dried it, and put it away. Then I opened a clean page in my notebook and wrote 30 days at the top. Underneath it, I listed what had to happen before the last day. Call GRU. Choose the stop date. Give written notice. Keep proof that Melissa and Craig received it. Do not argue about whether I was allowed. I had just finished writing when Craig called. I need you to come by the garage, he said. What for? I'm adding one more circuit. Who designed the load? It's one circuit, Stanley. For what machine? A larger dust collector. Did the electrician who added the other circuits look at it? He's booked. Then wait for him. I can't wait. I'm doing a client open house in a few weeks. That was the first I had heard of it. What day? I haven't finalized it. Then don't finalize it until the electrical work is safe. I called because I need help, not a lecture. I'm not installing anything without seeing the utility statements and the equipment information. He laughed. The bills again. Yes. You know the dust collector isn't causing the air conditioner to run. I didn't say it was. You're holding one circuit hostage over money. I'm refusing unpaid electrical work in a shop where I don't know what's been added. You helped build that shop. I helped repair your garage. It became a shop because you made it usable. That doesn't obligate me to expand it forever. He lowered his voice. Melissa was right. You're putting money above family. You filed a competency petition after I asked about $910. That was for your own protection. The circuit is still no. He hung up. I didn't call back. That was new for me. Normally I would have spent an hour finding a softer way to say the same thing. Then I would have driven over with my tools because I couldn't stand knowing Craig might do the work himself. Instead, I called GRU. The representative verified my identity and asked what date I wanted. Service stopped. I gave her the date 30 days away. Is anyone remaining at the property? She asked. Yes. They'll need to establish successor service before your closing date. I understand. If no successor account is active, a field technician may disconnect service at the meter. Will that be stated in the confirmation? Yes, sir. Send it to my email and my mailing address. She reviewed the request. My account would close at the end of the deadline day. The final amount would be drafted after the closing meter reading. Can someone at the service address cancel my stop request? I asked. Not unless they are authorized on your account. They aren't. Then no. I asked her to add a verbal security code anyway. She did. The email arrived while I was still on the phone. I read the date back to her. I read the service address. I read the sentence about successor service and disconnection. Everything was correct. When the call ended, I printed 2 copies of the confirmation. One went into the blue folder. The other stayed on the table while I wrote the notice. I kept it simple. I stated that the GRU service in my name would end in 30 days. Melissa and Craig needed to contact GRU, establish an account in one or both of their names, and fund any required deposit. If they did not, service could be disconnected on the closing date. I included the account's service address, but not my password or security code. At the bottom, I wrote that I would not extend the date. I printed 3 copies and signed each one. Then I drove to the post office. I sent 1 copy by certified mail to Melissa and another to Craig at the same address. I paid for proof of delivery. The clerk slid the receipts toward me. Keep these until the tracking shows delivered, she said. I will. The 3rd copy went into the folder. I could have stopped there. Certified mail was enough. Instead, I drove to their house because I wanted to offer one practical thing. Craig's garage door was open. He stood beside the new dust collector with a tape measure. A thick cable lay across the floor, still coiled in its packaging. He saw me carrying the envelope. If you change your mind, the panel's clear. I didn't. His face hardened. Melissa came from the kitchen. What are you doing here? I brought a copy of something I mailed today. I handed it to her. She opened the envelope in the driveway. Craig read over her shoulder. Melissa reached the last paragraph, then started again from the top. You're ending the electricity? She asked. I'm ending the account in my name. In 30 days? Yes. Craig took the paper from her. You can't do this while the court petition is active, I asked before scheduling it. Asked who? GRU. I mean, legally, my attorney has a copy. That was true. I had emailed it before leaving home. He replied that giving clear notice was sensible and that I should keep records of delivery. He didn't make the decision. He only confirmed I could make it. Craig read the date again. What happens if we don't switch it? The notice explains it. The power gets disconnected if no successor account is active. Melissa sat down on the low wall beside the driveway. Dad, this is our home. I know. The refrigerator, the air conditioner, everything. You have 30 days to open an account. Do you know what the deposit might be? No. Then how can you act like this is simple? I didn't say it was simple. Craig folded the notice once. You're trying to shut down my business. I'm giving you the same deadline for the house and the shop. You don't get to decide what happens to my shop. I'm deciding what happens to my account. He held the paper up. This is revenge because I wouldn't show you some old bills. It's a transfer notice. It's punishment. It would only become a disconnection if you refuse to establish service. Melissa said, Can we please go inside? I followed her into the kitchen. Craig came behind us. The mail drawer was closed. I looked at it, then at Melissa. She noticed. I still haven't found the statement, she said. I'm not here to ask for it. That surprised both of them. Craig said, so you don't care anymore? I care. I'm no longer making my decision depend on whether you tell me the truth. He put the notice on the counter. What practical thing did you come to offer? I had almost forgotten saying that outside. I'll sit here while you call GRU. I'll confirm the service date and that I'm closing my account. I'll answer questions about the transfer. Will you pay the deposit? He asked. No? Then what help are you offering? Information and my cooperation. That costs you nothing. It isn't supposed to cost me. He smiled without humor. There he is. Melissa looked at him. Stop. I picked up the notice and placed it in front of her. The offer stands. Call today and I'll stay. She stared at the paper. I can't do this right now. Then call when you can. Will you come back? If you ask me directly to help with the transfer, yes. Craig opened the back door. We don't need you sitting here supervising us. Then I'll leave. As I walked through the kitchen, I noticed the corner of a GRU envelope sticking from beneath a grocery coupon near the mail drawer. My name was visible. I stopped. Melissa moved quickly and laid her purse over it. Neither of us said anything. I could have reached for the envelope. It was addressed to me. It was within arm's length. I didn't. Taking it would have started a struggle in their kitchen. I had already recovered control of future mail. The older statements weren't going to change the deadline. I left through the front door. By the time I reached home, both certified letters showed as accepted by the post office. The account closure remained scheduled. The security code remained in place. My strategy had worked once in a visible, practical way. The arrangement now had an end date that didn't depend on Craig's approval or Melissa's promise. The result gave them something specific to fight. That evening, Melissa called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered because I thought it might concern the court examination. It's me, she said. Why are you calling from another phone? I'm in my car. Mine is almost dead. I heard rain against the roof. Craig doesn't know I called, she added. I sat at the kitchen table. What do you need? More time? How much? I don't know. Then you're asking for the old arrangement. No. Just until Craig's business becomes profitable. That doesn't have a date. He has jobs coming. You said that 4 years ago. This is different. He has real clients now. Then the business needs to pay its own expenses. He's still building it. I know. He thinks the open house will help. Has he scheduled it? Not officially. I looked at my copy of the transfer notice. Why won't he open the account now? The deposit, the bills. He's afraid the monthly cost will eat everything he makes. Then the business isn't covering its costs. You don't understand how hard he's worked. I've seen the work. You sound so cold. I'm being clear, she whispered. Please, Dad. For years, that word would have done it. I waited until I could answer without softening the date. I'll help you call GRU. I won't fund the account. Craig won't agree to that. Then what are you asking me to do? Keep paying. Quietly, let him get through the open house. And the bills? What about them? Bring me the statements. She went silent. Tell Craig you're giving them to me, I said. I can't do that. Why not? He'll say I'm taking your side. It's mail addressed to me. You don't know what he's like when he feels cornered. Then come to my house without the bills and tell me that directly. I'm telling you now. No. You're asking me to keep protecting you from a conversation with your husband. Her breathing became uneven. I can't lose my marriage over an electric bill. I didn't ask you to. You're forcing this. I gave both of you 30 days. She said nothing for a long time. Then she asked, if I bring the statements, will you cancel the stop date? No. The rain filled the silence between us. Then there's no point, she said. There's still a point in telling the truth. She ended the call. The next morning, the certified tracking showed both notices delivered. Melissa had signed for hers. Craig had signed for his. I printed the delivery confirmations and placed them behind the stop service notice. A few minutes later, Craig sent me a photograph of the same notice lying on his workbench. Across the bottom, he had written the closing date in thick black marker and circled it twice. His message contained only one sentence. I know exactly when your little deadline ends. I didn't answer him. 2 days later, Melissa sent a message asking me to come Sunday afternoon. Family meeting. Lauren will be here. We need to settle this before it gets worse. I replied, what time? She said 3. That was the first time in weeks she had asked me to come without mentioning a repair. I didn't mistake it for affection. I still went. The garage door was open when I arrived. Craig had cleaned the floor and moved several machines against the walls. Finished cabinets stood under white work lights. A printed sign near the door read, "Clark Custom Cabinet Open House." Underneath was the same date as my GRU deadline. The hours were listed from late morning until 4 in the afternoon. Craig came out of the garage wiping his hands. "You saw the sign?" he said. "I saw it. You're still welcome. I wasn't aware I needed an invitation. You're the one choosing sides." I looked at the date again. "You hadn't finalized this when we spoke. I have now. You chose the last day of my account. It's the best day for my clients. Out of every day available. People already confirmed. That was unlikely." The sign looked freshly printed, and a box of invitations sat open on his workbench. "You scheduled it because of the deadline," I said. He smiled. "I scheduled it because the shop is ready." Melissa opened the kitchen door. "Can we do this inside?" Lauren was sitting at the table. She looked tired. "Hi, Grandpa." "Hi." There were 4 folders on the table. One sat in front of each chair. Melissa had printed copies of my stop service notice, the court petition, and Nora's visit summary. She had highlighted different lines in yellow. I sat beside Lauren. Craig took the chair across from me. Melissa remained standing. "I want everybody to speak calmly," she said. Craig leaned back. "Tell him." She looked at me. "Our attorney is adding the stop notice to the court file." "What does that change?" "It shows you made a major decision affecting your family while angry. I gave written notice. That doesn't make it reasonable. It gives you 30 days. You know we can't afford this right now." Lauren looked at her mother. "You told me the account transfer was already being handled." Melissa's face tightened. "I said we were handling it. You said Grandpa was confused because you already took care of the utilities. I meant the payments. The payments come from his account." Craig said, "Lauren, stay out of the wording. You asked me to be here. We asked you to help. Help with what?" He pointed at me, getting him to understand what he's doing. Lauren pushed her folder away. "I'm not doing that." Melissa sat down. "Nobody is asking you to attack Grandpa. You asked me to make a list about his memory. I asked for observations. Then you told the court he loses bills that come to your house." Melissa turned toward me. "Did you tell her that?" "I told her what I know. You promised not to put her in the middle. I promised not to ask her to get the bills for me." "I didn't." Craig tapped the stop notice. "This is the only document that matters today." "No," I said. "The successor account matters. We are not opening one under threat. The deadline isn't a threat. It says our power may be disconnected. That happens only if you don't establish service. You keep repeating that, like it removes your responsibility. It explains yours." Melissa placed both palms on the table. "Here's what we're proposing. You cancel the stop request. We continue paying attention to your accounts and appointments. After the open house, we sit down and make a plan everyone can accept. Who is everyone? The family? Who controls my account in that plan?" Nobody said control. "Do you get the password back?" She glanced at Craig. "We need some access." Then the answer is no. "We haven't finished. I heard enough." Craig opened his folder. "If you cancel the stop date, Melissa will speak to the attorney about withdrawing the petition." Lauren stared at him. "You're trading the court case for the electric bill?" "That's not what I said." "It's exactly what you said." Melissa looked close to tears. "We're trying to lower the temperature. Then withdraw the petition because it isn't true," Lauren said. "It's not that simple." "Why?" "Because he keeps doing things like this." She held up my notice. Lauren turned to me. "Grandpa, if they don't open an account, will you really let the electricity stop?" I answered her directly. "Yes." Melissa made a sound under her breath. Lauren asked, "Even with the refrigerator and everything, they have time to prevent that." "Will you help them transfer it?" I offered. "Will you pay the deposit?" "No." She nodded slowly. She didn't look pleased, but she understood. Craig said, "There. Even Lauren thinks this is wrong." "That isn't what I said," she replied. "You asked if he'd let our refrigerator shut off." "Because I wanted to hear his answer." And you can open an account. We're not discussing our finances with you. You're discussing Grandpa's finances with a court." Craig closed his folder. "This meeting is over if you're going to take his side." Lauren stood. "I'm not taking anybody's side. I'm asking why you won't fix a problem you have 30 days to fix. We are fixing it." "How?" The open house will bring clients. That doesn't open the GRU account. It brings money, not before the deadline. Craig stood too. You have no idea how business works. I know lights need electricity. Melissa said her name quietly. Lauren picked up her purse. I shouldn't have come. I rose from my chair. Do you want me to walk out with you? No. Stay. Finish the meeting. There's nothing to finish. There is for you. She looked at her mother. Don't call me again to talk about Grandpa unless he's on the phone too. Then she left through the front door. Melissa watched the door close. You did that? She said to me. I didn't tell her what to say. You've turned my daughter against me. She's your adult daughter. She heard the same offer I did. Craig walked to the counter and brought back one of the open house invitations. He placed it in front of me. The front showed a photograph of his best kitchen installation. The back listed demonstrations, refreshments, and consultations for prospective clients. At the bottom, in smaller print, it said the business had been built with family experience and support. Your name isn't on this, I said. It doesn't need to be. Then why am I invited? Melissa answered. Because people know you helped him. Which people? Relatives, neighbors, some clients. What did you tell them? That you're a retired electrician and helped Craig set up the shop. I repaired outlets and added safe circuits before it became a shop. You're splitting hairs. No, I'm separating a gift from permanent responsibility. Craig pointed at the invitation. You should be proud to stand there. While you use electricity I pay for. You always come back to money because you refuse to take over the expense. The shop will pay for itself after the open house, then establish service. He picked up the invitation and slapped it back onto the table. You want me to put cash into a utility deposit when I need materials for jobs? Yes. That could cost me an order. Then your business needs more working money. You think you understand everything. I understand that the shop can't depend on my checking account. Melissa stood again. If the power goes off during that event, you will embarrass this entire family. The event is on the deadline because Craig placed it there. People have already been invited. Then open the account before they arrive. We need more time. You have the time stated in the notice. Craig said, I'm not moving that date. I didn't ask you to. And I'm not hiding what you're doing. If clients ask why we might lose power, I'll tell them. What will you tell them? That my wife's father is using an electric bill to punish us because we're concerned about his mental health. Melissa said, Craig, don't. He should know. I looked at her. Has he already told people that? She didn't answer. Craig did. I told 2 relatives. They agree with us. Do they know the account is mine? They know you're trying to disconnect your daughter's home. That isn't the same sentence. It's the sentence people understand. There was the reputational cost. He had taken a simple transfer notice and placed it beside a competency petition. To anyone hearing only his version, I was a confused old man threatening his family because they tried to help. I could defend myself to every relative. I could send bank statements and explanations. Then I would be doing exactly what Craig wanted, arguing about my competence while the deadline approached. I put the invitation into my folder. I'll keep this? Craig looked surprised. Why? It has the date. You planning to come? Melissa invited me. She rubbed her arms. I want the family to appear united. We aren't united. That doesn't mean everybody needs to know. Craig just said he'll tell clients. He's upset. So am I. Her eyes met mine. Cancel the stop date, she said. The petition goes away. The open house happens. Lauren stops blaming me. We can get back to normal. Normal meant the account stayed in my name. The statement stayed in their drawer. I returned with tools whenever Craig called. Melissa decided when Lauren saw me. No, I said. She looked down. Craig opened the kitchen door leading to the garage. Then be there when it happens, he said. I left through the front. At home, I called the attorney and told him about the offer. He asked me to repeat Craig's exact words about withdrawing the petition. Then he gave me the part I didn't want to hear. The stop notice may be presented as evidence of poor judgment, he said, especially if service is disconnected while the court matter is pending. I gave them 30 days. That supports your position. It doesn't prevent them from describing the consequence differently. What do you recommend? I recommend you decide whether ending the account is necessary enough to accept that risk. The old answer would have depended on whether Melissa still wanted me at her table. This answer didn't. They used the petition to demand access to the account, I said. If I cancel now, every boundary becomes something they can challenge the same way. I understand. Then document everything and don't change the date out of anger. I won't. After the call, I opened the GRU confirmation. The stop request was still active. No successor service appeared on the account. I thought about the refrigerator, the air conditioner, and the finished cabinets under Craig's new lights. I thought about Lauren leaving her mother's kitchen because she refused to pressure me. Those were real costs. I couldn't pretend otherwise. I placed the open house invitation behind the GRU confirmation. Then I wrote one sentence beneath the deadline in my notebook. I accept what keeping this boundary may cost. I left the sentence there. For the next week, I didn't contact Melissa or Craig. I checked the GRU account each morning. The stop request remained active. No successor service appeared. The next paper statement had not arrived. Lauren called twice. Neither call involved the petition or the open house. The first time, she asked whether I had watched a television program she liked. The second time, she told me her upstairs neighbor had started learning drums. We talked for nearly 20 minutes about nothing important. That helped more than she knew. On Monday, my attorney called with the examiner's report. She found no clear evidence that you lack the ability to manage your affairs, he said. I sat at my desk and wrote his words down. Does that end the petition? No, it's a report, not a final ruling. Did Melissa receive it? Her attorney will. What happens next? We respond to the filing. The court decides whether anything further is necessary. I asked whether the stop service notice had been added. It was, he said. They describe it as a sudden retaliatory decision. It wasn't sudden. We included the certified delivery records and your explanation of the 30-day transition. Does the report mention the electric account? Yes. The examiner noted that you explained the arrangement accurately and described a reasonable transfer process. That mattered. Not because the examiner could save me, but because Melissa's version was no longer the only one on paper. Do you want me to cancel the stop request? I asked. That decision remains yours. I'm asking whether it hurts the case. It creates something they can argue about. Canceling it now could also appear inconsistent. So either choice can be described. Most choices can. I looked at the blue folder. Then I'll keep the date. He reminded me to save the final bill and any communication from GRU. Then the call ended. That afternoon, I drove past Melissa's house without stopping. I had gone to the grocery store and taken a longer route home. The garage door was open. 2 folding tables stood in the driveway. Craig had hung a vinyl banner above the garage. His business name stretched across it in dark green letters. Melissa was taping paper signs to the front windows. They were preparing as if the deadline didn't exist. I kept driving. At home, there was a message from Craig. I need one answer. Are you planning to interfere with the open house in any way besides the electric account? I read it carefully. I replied, no. He called immediately. What does that mean? It means no. Are you contacting clients? No. Relatives? No. GRU? I already scheduled the stop. Have you asked them to come during the event? No. Will you? No. He was quiet for a moment. Then move it to the next day. No, you just said you're not trying to interfere. I chose the stop date before you scheduled the open house. It's 1 day. You had 30. I'm asking for 1. You're asking because the pressure is public now. I'm asking because people have arranged their schedules. So did I. He breathed into the phone. You could end this with 1 call. You can end it with 1 call to open your account. We're not paying a deposit just to satisfy you. The deposit isn't for me. The business needs that cash. Then reduce the open house expenses. You have no idea what I've put into this. I know the electricity wasn't included. He hung up. I could have called GRU then and asked for an earlier disconnection. The account was mine. The final payment had been secured. Moving it forward would have prevented Craig from using 1 more day of electricity at my expense. It also would have turned a clear boundary into the retaliation he kept describing. I didn't make the call. I didn't contact his clients. I didn't send his relatives the bank statements. I didn't post anything about the petition or the hidden mail. The consequence would come from the rule already in place. I didn't need to add cruelty. 2 days before the deadline, a GRU representative called to confirm the stop service order. She verified the address and asked whether anyone would remain at the property. Yes. Has the remaining household established successor service? Not according to my account. She checked. I don't see a completed successor order. What does completed mean? An application has to be approved, any required funds received, and service activated under the new customer. Could they still do that before my account closes? Yes, sir. Even on the final day? If it is completed before the field order is executed. That removed one uncertainty. Melissa and Craig still had a way to keep the power on. They could act until the technician reached the meter. What time is the field order scheduled? I asked. We can't guarantee an exact time. The current service window is between noon and 4. The open house ran from late morning until 4. I wrote the window beside the deadline. If they call while the technician is there, can he wait? The new account would need to show active in the system. The field technician can't approve an application or accept a deposit. So, he follows the order on his screen. That's correct. And nobody at the house can extend my account without my approval. That's correct. Keep the order as it is. She gave me a confirmation number. I repeated it back. Afterward, I logged into the account. The closing date was still there. My phone number and mailing address were correct. The security code remained active. The leverage had survived the petition, the family meeting, and Craig's attempt to make the deadline public. It was still only one thing. I was the account holder, and I had selected the date my responsibility ended. That evening, Melissa came to my house alone. She didn't try the old key. She knocked. When I opened the door, she held up both hands. I'm not here to fight. Come in. She sat at the kitchen table. I made coffee, but she didn't drink hers. I got the examiner's report, she said. So did my attorney. You made me sound manipulative. I answered questions. You told her about the account. She asked why I was ending it. You could have left Craig's business out. I didn't tell her the business caused the increase. You implied it. I said there were machines in the garage and I hadn't seen the statements. She wrapped both hands around the cup. Are you coming Saturday? You invited me. I need to know. Yes. She looked toward my desk. The blue folder was partly visible from the kitchen. Are you bringing all that paperwork? I haven't decided. Please don't make a scene. I'm not planning one. Craig thinks you're going to show everybody the petition. I have no reason to. He thinks you want to humiliate him. Craig scheduled clients during the stop window. He thought you'd back down. There it was, stated plainly. Do you think I will? I asked. She looked at the coffee. I hoped you would. You can still establish service. We talked to GRU. That was new. When? Yesterday. What happened? They told us about the deposit and what the monthly usage has been. I waited. She didn't give me either number. Did you open the account? No. Why not? Craig wants to wait. Until when? After the open house. My account ends during it. I know. Then what does he expect? He expects you to cancel. And you? Her fingers tightened around the cup. I'm asking you to. Will you withdraw the petition? She looked at me. If you cancel the stop, yes. That's the same trade you offered before. It gets us out of this. It puts us back where we started. We can change things gradually. 4 years was gradual. She pushed the coffee away. Then, at least extend it 1 week. No. 2 days. No. Until the event ends. No. Her chair scraped as she stood. If you let the power go off in front of those people, Craig will never forgive you. I'm not asking him to. What about me? I don't know. She pressed her lips together. You do know. I know our relationship already changed when you filed the petition. I can withdraw it. You should withdraw it because it's false, not because I keep paying. She picked up her purse. I used to think you'd do anything for me. I did too. The words stopped her near the door. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she said, Mom would hate this. I looked at her. Don't use Martha to make the decision you won't make. Her eyes filled. I miss her too, she said. I know. She would have known how to talk to you. She would have asked me directly. Then she would have listened to the answer. Melissa opened the door. Tomorrow will change everything. Tomorrow is Friday. The open house is Saturday. The deadline is Saturday. She looked back at me. If you come, people will assume you support us. I support your chance to open your own utility account. That's not what I mean. I know. After she left, I locked the new deadbolt. Locked. The next morning, I called GRU one final time. The stop order remained active. No successor account had been completed. I asked whether I needed to be present. No, sir, the representative said. But the technician may contact you if access to the meter is blocked. It won't be blocked. I had seen the meter from the street. Craig's display tables were on the other side of the driveway. I printed the final confirmation and added it to the folder. Lauren called near lunchtime. Mom said you're going tomorrow. I am. Do you want me there? Only if you want to be there. I don't want you walking into that house alone. I'll be all right. That wasn't my question. I smiled despite myself. Yes, I'd like you there. I'll meet you at the house. Don't come to defend me. I'm coming because I was invited. By who? Mom, eventually. That sounded like Melissa. Before bed, I laid out a clean blue shirt and gray pants. I charged my phone. I placed the utility account folder beside my car keys. The next morning, the sky was clear and already hot. At 11:20, I put the folder on the passenger seat and drove toward Northwest 34th Place. Traffic was light until I reached 39th Avenue. I arrived a few minutes before noon. Cars lined both sides of the street. Craig had placed 2 signs near the driveway directing visitors through the garage. The banner hung above the open door. Inside, white lights shone on finished cabinets and sample doors. The air conditioner pushed cool air through the kitchen doorway. Craig had a table saw, the drum sander, and the new dust collector positioned for demonstrations. The thick cable I had seen earlier was gone. I didn't ask who installed the circuit. Craig was speaking to 3 prospective clients near a display island. 2 relatives stood beside the refreshment table. A few neighbors moved through the garage. He saw me and lifted one hand. Stanley made it. People turned. I carried the blue folder at my side. Craig looked at it, but his smile remained. "Good to see you," one relative said. "Craig tells us you helped get all this started. I did some electrical repairs before it became a business." Craig laughed. "He's modest. This shop wouldn't be here without him." That was the version he wanted everyone to hear. My presence meant approval. My past work meant partnership. The electricity still running meant I had backed down. Melissa appeared in the kitchen doorway. "You came. You invited me." She hugged me quickly. Her body felt stiff. "Where's Lauren?" I asked. "On her way." "Did you open the GRU account?" Her eyes moved toward the guests. "Not now." "There isn't much later." "Please, Dad." Craig called Melissa from the garage. She turned away without answering. I placed the folder on the kitchen counter and stayed near it. The mail was stacked beside a ceramic bowl. Most of it looked ordinary. Grocery advertisements, an insurance envelope, and a folded restaurant menu sat on top. Underneath, I saw a white edge with the blue GRU logo. Melissa came back into the kitchen. She noticed where I was looking. Then she noticed the folder. "Are those court papers?" she whispered. "No. What did you bring?" "Records." Her mouth tightened. "You promised not to make a scene. I promised I wouldn't contact clients or interfere. Then leave the folder in your car." "No." Craig entered before she could respond. "We're starting the first demonstration in 10 minutes, he said. "I want you beside me." "Why?" "Because people know you're an electrician. I'm not endorsing wiring I didn't inspect. You don't have to endorse anything. Just answer basic questions." "No." His smile disappeared. "You came all this way to stand in the kitchen?" "I came because Melissa said she wanted the family united." He looked at her. She said, "I thought if he saw everyone here, he might understand." "Understand what?" I asked. "How much is riding on today?" "The account still isn't open, is it?" Craig lowered his voice. "Stop asking that in front of people, then answer me quietly." He stepped closer. "I have clients in my garage. The power is on. You can cancel your order in less than 5 minutes. So can you. I'm not paying that deposit today. Then the field order stays." He looked at the folder again. "You planned this. I gave you the date. You planned to come here and embarrass us. You scheduled this after receiving the date." A couple entered from the driveway. Craig's expression changed immediately. "Welcome," he called. "Come on in. We're about to run the machines." He returned to the garage and began explaining the shop layout. Melissa leaned toward me. "You can still call. So can you. We don't have the money ready. You spent money on food, signs, and invitations." Craig said the open house had to look professional. "So does paying the power." She closed her eyes. "Please don't say that where he can hear. He already knows." The front door opened. Lauren stepped inside wearing dark pants and a light blouse. She hugged me, then looked toward the garage. "More people than I expected. Your father invited plenty." She looked at Melissa. "Did you call GRU?" Melissa said. "We're handling it." Lauren sighed. "That still means no, doesn't it?" "Not today. It has to be today. Your grandfather could fix this. So could you." Craig switched on the bright display lights over the cabinets. "Everybody, if I can get your attention," he said. The garage conversation stopped. Craig stood beside a row of painted cabinet doors. "Thank you for coming. This business grew out of family support. My father-in-law helped me understand the electrical side when I started, and Melissa gave me the room to take a chance. He gestured toward me. Stanley's here today because family sticks together, even when there's a little confusion behind the scenes. A few people smiled politely. I didn't. Craig continued. We've got a full demonstration planned. I'll show you how we take raw material through cutting, sanding, dust control, and final assembly. He had committed to his version completely. I was confused. The family supported him. The shop was stable. Any disagreement was small and private. Melissa turned toward the counter. The GRU envelopes were still visible beneath the other mail. She gathered the stack quickly. One envelope slipped onto the floor. Lauren bent to pick it up. Mom, this has Grandpa's name on it. Melissa reached for it. I'll take that. Lauren held it against her chest. There are more. Lauren, not now? Melissa pulled the drawer beside the refrigerator open. She swept the remaining mail into it, pushed the GRU envelopes beneath several takeout menus, and started to close the drawer. Lauren caught the handle. I was standing 3 feet away. Craig had stopped talking in the garage. Lauren looked at her mother. Grandpa, why is Mom hiding your mail? The room became quiet enough to hear the air conditioner. Melissa kept one hand inside the drawer. The other rested flat against the counter. Those aren't hidden, she said. Lauren turned the envelope over. Then why did you put them under the takeout menus when you saw Grandpa come in? Nobody answered. Craig walked into the kitchen. Give that to me, he said. It's addressed to Grandpa. It belongs with the house records. The house records in a takeout drawer, Melissa said. Lauren, please. Lauren opened the drawer fully. She removed 3 GRU envelopes and handed them to me. All 3 were sealed. Craig reached for them. I moved them behind my back. They're mine. This is my house, he said. My name is on the envelopes. Guests had begun drifting toward the kitchen doorway. Melissa looked at them, then at me. Open them somewhere else. No. I took the first envelope to the kitchen table. My hands were steady, though I had to slide one finger beneath the flap twice. The statement showed the amount, the meter reading, and a usage graph covering the previous year. The rise hadn't followed the summer heat. It began in the cooler months, climbed again, and stayed high. I opened the second envelope. Its graph showed the earlier pattern. Summer use rose and fell around the air conditioner. Winter dropped back. The third was newer. The usage jumped sharply during the month Craig bought the drum sander. It rose again after the additional garage circuits appeared. The highest period matched the weeks he prepared the new dust collector and expanded production for the open house. Lauren leaned over the table. This jump was when Dad got the big sander, she said. Craig answered too quickly. That doesn't prove the sander did it. No, I said, but it proves the heat and rate changes didn't. I placed the older and newer graphs side by side. A hotter month before the shop expansion used far less electricity than the cooler month after it. Melissa sat down. You knew, I said. She looked at the statements. Melissa. Yes. Craig said, don't start admitting things you don't understand. She looked up at him. I understand the bills. Then tell me why you kept them. Her voice came out low. Craig told me not to give them to you. Why? He said if you saw the usage before today, you'd end the account early. I gave you 30 days. He thought once the clients and relatives were here, you wouldn't follow through. Craig stepped beside her. We both thought that. Melissa shook her head. No, you said we'd bring him here, show him what the shop could become, and ask in front of everyone. You said he wouldn't say no with people watching. Lauren stared at her mother. So you hid Grandpa's mail until you could pressure him? I was trying to keep the family from falling apart. You filed a competency petition. I know. You told people he lost bills. Melissa covered her mouth. Craig pointed at the cabinets. None of this changes what Stanley did. His electrical work made this business possible. He knew I was building towards something. I knew you owned small tools, I said. You added outlets. You repaired machines. You told me my cabinets were good. They are good. Then you don't get to walk away when the business finally needs support. My labor was a gift, not permanent consent. You can't separate the two. I already did. I opened the folder and removed the certified delivery receipts. You both received the deadline. Craig didn't look at them. A utility truck stopped at the curb. Melissa saw it through the front window. No, she whispered. The GRU technician walked toward the meter carrying a handheld device. Craig went outside. You need to wait, he told him. The technician checked his screen. I have a stop service order. We're opening a new account. Is it active? It will be. I can only follow what's in the system. I stepped onto the porch. The technician asked, Stanley Ellis? That's me. You're the closing account holder? Yes. Do you want the stop order completed? Craig looked at me. Every person in the garage could hear the question. Yes, I said. The technician walked to the meter. He entered the final reading and confirmed the service address. Craig called to Melissa. Get GRU on the phone. She stood in the doorway holding her phone, but she didn't move. The technician opened the meter housing and completed the disconnect. The display lights went dark. The air conditioner stopped. The table saw, sander, and dust collector lost power together. The garage became quiet. One prospective client asked when service would return. Craig said, Soon. How soon? He couldn't answer. People began setting down sample doors. One couple thanked Melissa for the food and left. Another client said he would call later, then followed them outside. Nobody offered power. Nobody rescued the demonstration. Within minutes, the garage held only dark machines, unfinished refreshments, and the people who already knew why the lights had gone out. The technician closed the meter housing and handed me a final reading slip. Your account is closed, he said. Craig came down the driveway. Can you reconnect it? Not under the closed account. We're setting up another one. When it shows active, a restoration order can be issued. How long does that take? You'll need to ask customer service. Craig looked at me. Tell him to put it back. I can't open an account for you. You can cancel the closure. The technician shook his head. The account has been finalized. Any new service has to go through customer service. He returned to his truck and left. That was the end of the mechanism. No speech from me could make it stronger. No argument from Craig could make it disappear. Inside the garage, one remaining client collected cabinet samples from the display table. Call me when things are settled, he told Craig. They are settled, Craig replied. The man glanced at the dark lights. I mean the business side. He left without scheduling anything. The relatives followed soon afterward. One stopped beside me in the driveway. Craig said you were having trouble with your memory, she said quietly. I remembered the deadline. Her face reddened. I didn't mean anything by it. I know. She walked to her car. Craig began pulling the paper signs from the garage walls. You enjoyed that, he said. No, don't lie to me. I didn't enjoy watching clients leave. You made them leave. You scheduled them during the disconnection window. You could have stopped it. So could you. He ripped one sign in half. I built this business with my own hands. I never said otherwise. You stood there like some judge while they shut me down. I stood there as the account holder. You think that line excuses everything? It explains what happened. He threw the torn paper onto the floor. You're done in this shop. I stopped working in this shop weeks ago. I mean, don't come back. All right. He expected me to argue. When I didn't, his anger had nowhere to go. He walked past me into the house. Melissa sat at the kitchen table with the 3 statements spread out in front of her. Lauren stood beside the counter. My blue folder was still where I had left it. I called GRU, Melissa said. What did they tell you? We have to submit the application, verify our information, and pay the deposit before they'll issue a restoration order. Then do that. Craig has the bank card. Lauren said, use yours. It's the same account. Then get the card from him. Melissa looked toward the garage. I don't want to start another fight. Lauren picked up one of the statements. This is what not starting a fight cost. Please don't lecture me. I'm not. I'm leaving. Melissa stood. You're leaving us here without power? You knew the date. I'm your mother, and he's your father. Lauren placed the bill back on the table. Melissa looked at me. Can you ask her to stay? No. Why not? Because she decides where she stays. Lauren picked up her purse. I'll come back later with coolers for the food. I'm not staying to help you blame Grandpa. That was her outcome. She didn't abandon her mother. She also stopped letting Melissa use family duty as a command. At the door, she touched my arm. Are you okay? Yes. Call me when you get home. I will. She left. Melissa remained beside the table. I need to ask you something, she said. Ask. If we complete the application, will you tell GRU you approve the transfer? Yes. You won't block it? No. Will you pay the deposit and let us repay you? No. She looked down. Will you at least stay while I call? That was a direct request, no hint. No lunch attached. Yes, I said. I'll stay while you call. She retrieved the bank card from Craig and returned without him. We sat together at the kitchen table. She called GRU on speaker. The representative confirmed that my account had closed and that I had no remaining authority over their new application. Melissa completed it in her name. When the representative explained the deposit, Melissa closed her eyes. That much? She asked. The representative repeated it. Melissa looked at me once. I didn't reach for my wallet. She read her card number aloud. The payment cleared. The earliest restoration window was the following day. Melissa asked for something sooner, but no sooner time was available. When the call ended, she wrote the new account number on the front of an unopened envelope. That's my mail, I said. She looked at the name and pushed it toward me. Sorry, I took it. She opened the kitchen drawer and removed the rest of the GRU envelopes. There were more than the 3 Lauren found. Some had been opened, others were sealed. She placed all of them in front of me. I should have given you these. Yes. Craig said you'd overreact. I asked questions. I know. Did you open them? Some. What did you think when you saw the usage? I knew it was the shop. That was the first time she said it without blaming heat or rates. How long did you know? Since the first big jump. And you kept telling me it was the air conditioner. Yes. Why? Because if I admitted it, I'd have to tell Craig to slow down. He'd say I didn't believe in him. So you let me pay. She nodded. I told myself it was temporary. So did I. Craig entered the kitchen. You opened it in your name? Yes. You paid that deposit? We needed electricity. You should have waited until Monday. For what? I could have found another way. The refrigerator is getting warm. He looked at me. You could have covered one more night. The account is closed. You're still hiding behind that. Melissa stood. No, Craig. We had 30 days. He stared at her. She continued. You told me he'd back down. You told me the open house would force him. I said it might make him think. You told me to hide the statements. You agreed. Yes, I did. That answer stopped him. She didn't say Craig made her do it. She owned her part. I filed the petition too, she said. I'm withdrawing it Monday. Craig's face changed. You can't decide that alone. My name is on it. We discussed it. We used it to pressure him. It raised legitimate concerns. No. It gave us leverage. He looked from her to me. You got what you wanted. I wanted you to open your own account, I said. You wanted to turn my wife against me. I didn't tell her what to say. He pointed at the statements. You're both acting like a few graphs explain an entire business. They explain the bill, Melissa said. They don't explain what it takes to make money. They explain what it costs to run the machines. Craig pushed a chair aside and walked into the garage. A moment later, we heard cabinet doors being moved. Melissa sat again. I'm sorry, she said. I put the unopened envelopes into my folder. I heard you. Aren't you going to say anything? Not yet. She pressed her fingers against her eyes. I don't know what happens now. Neither do I. Will you come back? Not today. She nodded. I carried the folder to my car. Before leaving, I looked through the garage. Craig was moving the drum sander away from the demonstration area. He didn't look at me. The open house food remained on the folding table. Condensation ran down the sweet tea container. Without the air conditioner, the garage had already become hot. I drove home and called Lauren as promised. The final GRU charge appeared in my bank account 2 days later. It covered service through the closing meter reading. I paid it. That was the last money I spent powering their house or shop. Melissa sent me the new restoration confirmation after the electricity returned. Her name appeared as the customer. I printed it and placed it in the folder. On Monday, she emailed her attorney, instructing him to withdraw the incapacity petition. She copied my attorney. 2 days later, the court filing showed the withdrawal. That action mattered more than her apology. Craig didn't contact me. Lauren came by that Wednesday with coffee. She didn't bring a broken appliance or ask about money. We sat on the porch and watched a storm move across the neighborhood. Mom wants to see you, she said. Did she ask you to arrange it? No. She told me she was afraid to call. That's for her to handle. I said the same thing. The next afternoon, Melissa called. I'd like to come over Saturday, she said. Alone. I'm not asking you to fix anything. What are you asking for? 1 hour to tell you the truth. I looked at the Saturday square on my kitchen calendar. You can come at 2, I said. She arrived at 1:58, carrying the rest of the GRU envelopes in a paper grocery bag. I found these in the garage, she said. Where? In a cabinet behind Craig's invoices. Did he put them there? Some of them. I put the others in the kitchen drawer. I stepped aside and let her enter. She sat at the kitchen table. I made coffee. This time, she drank it. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then she emptied the bag. There were utility statements, rate notices, and 2 envelopes addressed to me that had never been opened. I changed the mailing address, she said. I know. I used your password. I know that too. You didn't tell Nora you knew for sure. I didn't know for sure. GRU couldn't tell me who changed it. It was me. She placed the statements in date order. At first, I thought the bills should come to the house because the electricity was used there. Then the shop started using more power. When did Craig notice? Before I did. He checked the account every month. With my password. Yes. What did he say when it reached $910? He said you could afford it. I looked at her. What did you say? I said you'd ask questions. And? He told me to blame the rates. She rubbed one thumb across the rim of her cup. The air conditioner really was running more. That made it easier to tell myself it wasn't a complete lie. It was complete enough. Yes. She looked toward the back room. I knew you were lonely after Mom died. I didn't answer. You always came when I called. If I said the refrigerator sounded strange, you were there before lunch. If I mentioned money, you offered before I asked. I made that choice. I know, but I learned how to use it. The words were quiet. How? I asked. When you questioned something Craig did, I stopped inviting you for a while. Then you'd call with a reason to help. I knew you were afraid that if you pushed me, you'd lose me. That happened before the electric bill. Yes. And you kept doing it. Yes. She folded her hands. I used your fear of losing me because I was afraid to confront my husband. I let the silence remain. She didn't fill it with excuses. Finally, I asked, why the competency petition? When you changed the password, Craig said you were getting ready to cut us off. I told him you wouldn't. So, he suggested the petition, he found the forms, I signed them. You gave Nora false information before that. I did. The petition wasn't only Craig. No, that answer mattered. She took a folded sheet from her purse. It was the confirmation that the petition had been withdrawn. I already had a copy, but I let her place it on the table. I can't undo filing it, she said. No, I can't undo what I told Lauren. No, what can I do? Pay your own bills, keep your own records, stop speaking for me. I can do that. When you want to see me, ask. Don't attach a repair. She nodded. And Craig, I can't make him apologize. I'm not asking you to. He says you destroyed the open house. He can believe that. He doesn't want you at the house. Then don't invite me while that's true. Her eyes filled. So I lose you anyway. Not necessarily. What does that mean? It means I'm willing to speak with you. It doesn't mean we return to how things were. She wiped beneath one eye. Will you ever trust me again? I don't know. She nodded slowly. I gave her the conditions in plain language. I would not put their electric service back in my name. I would not pay the deposit, monthly bills, business expenses, or household shortages. I would not give her access to my accounts. I would not do unpaid repair work at their house or in Craig's shop. If there's an emergency, she asked, call the appropriate person. What if I just need my dad? Then say that. She cried after that. Not loudly. She covered her face for a minute, then went to the bathroom and washed it. When she returned, we put the old statements into the blue folder together. Before leaving, she asked, May I call you next week? Yes. She stood beside the door. I am sorry. I believe you're sorry. It wasn't forgiveness. It was the most accurate answer I had. The following Thursday, she called. My kitchen light is flickering, she said. I waited. I already called an electrician, she added. I'm not asking you to fix it. All right. I wanted you to know I heard you. I heard that. Then she asked whether I wanted to meet for breakfast. Just breakfast? I asked. Just breakfast. We met Saturday morning. She paid for her own meal. I paid for mine. We talked about Lauren's work, the summer heat, and a grocery store that had changed its layout. Craig's name came up once. He's angry, she said. I assumed. He's taking fewer cabinet jobs. Why? The new electric bill arrived. She didn't tell me the amount. I didn't ask. He moved the drum sander out of the garage, she continued. He sold it to another cabinet maker. The dust collector is gone too. Is he still working? Yes. Smaller jobs, built-ins, bathroom cabinets, repairs. That was the scale the garage could support, without somebody else carrying its power. Does he understand why? I asked. He understands the cost. I don't know if he accepts responsibility. Craig never apologized to me. A month after the open house, he sent one message. I still think you could have handled it privately. I replied, I tried. He didn't answer. That remained our relationship, civil when necessary, distant by his choice and mine. I didn't need him to admit everything for the boundary to remain. Melissa took over the household bills. She created a folder for GRU statements and wrote the due date on each envelope. She stopped letting Craig manage the online utility login. I knew because she showed me the folder once, then closed it. You don't have to prove this every month, I said. I know. I wanted you to see the first one. She paid the bill while I sat there. She used her own account and kept the receipt. I didn't contribute. The garage circuit Craig wanted was never installed by me. He hired an electrician to remove one unused connection and confirm the remaining equipment fit the service. I didn't inspect the work afterward. Lauren continued visiting on her own schedule. Sometimes she called before coming. Sometimes she sent a message that said, "Coffee in 10 minutes," and I told her whether I was home. One Sunday, she brought 4 different kinds of mustard. You said you might start eating it, she told me. That was 4 years ago. I'm patient. We opened one jar and made sandwiches. Melissa's repair took longer. She came alone at first. We met in public places or sat on my porch. If Craig was home, I didn't go to their house. 3 months passed before she asked whether she could bring him to breakfast. Does he want to come? I asked. He said he would. That isn't the same thing. No. Then not yet. She accepted the answer without punishing me for it. She still called the following week. That was one test. Another came when her washing machine stopped draining. She told me about it during coffee, then changed the subject. What did you do? I asked. Called a repair company. How much? She smiled a little. You said not to involve you in the bills. I was curious. I paid it. She didn't ask for reimbursement. She didn't leave a toolbox-sized silence for me to fill. That was another test. 6 months after the disconnection, Melissa invited me to Sunday lunch. She asked directly. Craig had agreed I could come. Though he planned to spend most of the afternoon in the garage, I went. The house was cool. The refrigerator was running. A GRU statement bearing Melissa's name sat in the mail drawer, unopened because it had arrived the day before. The garage held fewer machines. The bright display lights were off. Craig worked with a small table saw and hand tools. He nodded when I arrived. Stanley, Craig, that was all. Lunch didn't include a repair. Nobody asked me for money. Lauren came because Melissa called her, and Melissa had told her exactly who would be there. After we ate, Melissa brought out Martha's old recipe card for potato salad. The card had a smear of mustard near the bottom. Mom never wrote down how much salt, she said. She tasted it. How am I supposed to copy that? You aren't. You taste it. We stood at the counter and adjusted the salt until it was right. Melissa didn't say Martha would have wanted us to forgive each other. I didn't say Martha would have taken my side. We let her be remembered without making her responsible for us. The court matter closed without another hearing. My attorney returned what remained of the retainer. The money I had already spent stayed spent. So did the final electric payment. I never asked Melissa or Craig to repay 4 years of utility bills. Those payments had been my decisions, even when their behavior kept me making them. I also never made another one. If you've stayed with me this far, tell me in the comments whether you think 30 days was fair. If you want to hear more family stories told plainly, subscribe and join me for the next one. The final GRU notice arrived at my house near the end of summer. It showed the old account closed with no balance due. I carried it to the kitchen table. Lauren had visited that morning and left 2 coffee cups in the sink. Melissa had called for no reason except to ask whether the rain reached my side of Gainesville. My electrician's pliers rested near the sugar bowl. I had used them to tighten a loose handle on my own kitchen drawer. I opened the blue folder one last time. Inside were the original account confirmation, 4 years of bank drafts, the transfer notice, certified delivery receipts, stop service confirmation, field reading, old statements, and Melissa's successor service confirmation. I added the final notice. Then I closed the old utility account folder and set it beneath my electrician's pliers on my own kitchen table.